Just kidding. Oh, it is. It worked. All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, it is GozMaster the Third here with Maynard T. Loopers on
What
a
up?
very aggressive, very chock. We're gonna have a big
Arr.
fight here, but before we do anything, I'm gonna put these in the posts for everybody. So while I do that, tell us about your week, and let's make sure that if you're here joining us live, that you can hear Main, and let us know that you can hear him, please, por favor. How was your week, dude? What are you up to? Happy holidays, by the way. Happy holidays to you. Before
Oh,
we get
happy
into the
holidays to you
bloodshed,
too, my friend.
before we get into the nose punching and just the disregard for each other's just views on life, just happy holiday to you,
Arr.
brother. Appreciate you, man.
God's opinions don't exactly line up with mine. We must fight.
We must fight. It is to the death if we disagree. Isn't that what the internet's for? Is for differing opinions
Yeah.
to battle to the cut. Oh my gosh, it's so silly.
Until I close my Discord and then I forget
Yeah,
everything I
right,
just
right.
said.
Discord and forums. Those are usually where everybody is. Let's see here. So yeah, anything special you're doing for the holiday whilst I'm putting this out there? And can you guys hear Maine?
No, it's gonna be pretty chill. Just hanging out with friends and family. You
Mm-hmm.
know, the usual. Nothing too amazing as far as that goes. But
Mm-hmm.
you know, sometimes that's all you need.
That is all you need many times. So if you guys haven't noticed, when we actually post the links inside of the server and you see the pictures that we're in there, we actually pose for these pictures, and they are
Yeah.
very hilarious when we do it. We have a lot of time going back and forth with each other, like, what is this? What is that? No, do it this way. Oh, we gotta really
I
work
don't
on it
even
at
know yet
times.
what the thing looks like. Let me go back in the Discord here
There
and
you
check
go.
it
I
out.
had to adjust your size there too, buddy. All right, you're better now. Yeah, and I'm the one that's organizing and orchestrating all of this stuff, so it is a clunky business for sure. Let's do that. Copy, paste,
My
and
hand awkwardly.
it is the good times, my friend. It is the good times. All right, YouTubers. You know what's funny? I'm gonna say this for all you guys who have us in your like YouTube channels and servers and stuff, and you have like these relegated YouTube thread spots. I I don't know if I prefer like in the general chats to be able to post stuff because I think they get more eyeballs when they see them that way. I know this is self-serving. Has nothing to do with you guys. You guys probably prefer it being in a local spot, but especially like these live ones. Do you guys like getting the notifications of these like real time so you can join them live, or do you prefer to have it in its own isolated spot so you're not bothered with the shenanigans that we do? I'm very curious. Chime in and let us know. I know we get fewer eyeballs off stuff that I'm not tagging everybody in, but most people who do want to see our stuff, my stuff, are in the server, so I can tag them because it's mine and I'm abusing the power and I don't care. I do, but it's one of those things where we like to be respectful mostly ish sometimes. One of our mutual friends, I posted in his server about the deal for my top 10 monowalkers. He's like,
Mhm.
an hour and a half?
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever, dude. It is what it is. Just enjoy. Oh, there's somebody else streaming. Nice. Pokemon is really big right now. Like, there's a bunch of big name guys that are streaming stuff in Pokemon, and it's kind of crazy.
There's so much Pokemon content out there. It's kind of
Right.
crazy.
There's
For
a
a game that
ton.
doesn't even have a lot that you can do in it, people are
Right.
like
Well,
playing
that
it
just speaks to the
nonstop.
it speaks to the rabidness of Poke players, right? Like
Oh, for
that
sure. Yeah.
Pokemon was that's probably your kid, you kids, you young upstarts. That's
I
your
caught the tail end of it. Yeah. I
I
was
played Magic
just
before Pokemon was
too old for
existed.
it.
So I literally played Paper Magic before that was a
Right.
thing, right? So
Yeah, exactly.
it wasn't a thing for me and I saw it was a kids game and although I
Right.
played Pokemon Go for a bit and I tried to play with my kids, it just
Hmm.
was very basic and simple and I didn't find it complex enough to
Oh
hold
yeah,
my
for sure.
interest. That said, I still kind of want to go play the new version because it looks great and get an idea of what I want. Um, I want to see the interaction and the playability and the engagement and the animations and stuff because I think that is what I would love Webcore to go take and do and say, hey, this is the new platform we're going to build that's going to match that. I know they don't have the money
Yeah.
for that, right? Not yet.
Right.
I assume so. I would love to find out, like, hey, all those dollars you guys have been giving us that we've been real stingy with, this is what we built for you guys. And it's like,
That'd
boom,
be awesome.
animations and stuff. Oh, that would be
Right.
great. I would love that. I would absolutely love that. All right. That's enough jerking around here, mister. It's time for you and I to do battle. No more niceties. You got this? We have to do the thing which everyone is here for, which is to discuss the quality, the quantity, the establishment, the stack of my top 20 mono walkers here. Let me get caught up on the things here. Happy holidays. What's up, Tony? Happy holidays, man. Eric, sup, guys? Happy holidays to you also. Sounds good. Audio is great. Excellent. Glad you guys can hear him. Hi, guys. Nice to see you at the same time. Greetings from Portugal. What's up, Portuguese, man? It's good to see you. Friday night. Is that? Oh, it is Friday night in some places, isn't it? Isn't
it?
It
is, huh?
Let's see. God, I can't read some of these. I'm old. Entered through the YouTube notifications, actually. Nice, Tony. See, you're a real one. You have the bell notifications on chime. Exactly, I'm not judging the rest of you. I'm just slightly elevating Tony to just a bit higher status. Just don't take it personally. It's just, it is what it is.
You're a real one.
Live is cooler. Nice if I can watch live. Absolutely, Eric. Hello, guys. Oh my God! Oh, it's
I think it's a little more fun to watch it.
Here, I'm here to see you. Violence in the mono war of the spark, to the death, to the pain. If you nerds get it. What's up, Roy? It's good to see you, dude. All right.
Oh, cool.
Well, let's start off with. Nice. Let's start off with. I know that you've put out your opinions on it. You have your own tiered list. Number one, you already have a documentation that you use, right? That you actually have out there.
Yeah.
So, if you guys don't have that, or if you haven't seen that, I need to move this logo. You guys should get into the Discord. He can get you that access, and then just tag him in it and say what's up, and he can get you into it. And you can see his list.
Yeah, it's also linked in every one of my videos. If you look at the descriptors. Yeah, great. I don't know how many people actually do that, but I have a bunch of resources that I link in every one of my videos. So.
Okay, great. Well, there you go. And so that is for you guys to be able to have and to go and use and abuse. I'm going to put this up here so it looks a little fancier underneath the thing. Excellent. I'm getting better at this stuff. I'm not saying I'm good yet. I'm just saying I'm getting better. Right? Every day, a little progress. I'm driving but listening. Haha. All right, excellent. Yeah, eyes on the road, bro. You don't need to see our pretty faces. I don't care how handsome Looper is. You keep your eyes on the road, sir, where it belongs. You can stare at him on the recording in a still frame later. It's like Wolverine laying in his bed, touching a picture. It's just Guapo Loop over here, just on the still image of this thing. That's what I would do.
Give me your mailing address, and I'll send you a headshot. All right?
Headshot. Boom, headshot. All right, my man. Let's get to it. What is your opinion on? Let's stick with the top 20, 11 through 20 so far. Let's keep them guessing on the rest of these. So, was there anything here, question mark, status quo, that you felt was like just a complete miss on my part, besides Chronoclast?
The top 20?
The bottom 20. So,
bottom 20.
Mordenkainen was 20. Jaya Fiery Negotiator, 19. Eliwick, just because green. Jace, the Perfected Mind, which is a newer one.
Okay.
Professor Onyx made my list, which surprised me. I actually went and played her a bit. I was already partial to her, but she took the 16th slot just because of how strong Black is right now. We can talk about that. Tezzeret Betrayer Flesh is a little higher as I'm in retrospect now. I think I might rank him a little bit lower now as I'm going through more of the rest of them. Chandra Dressed to Kill. I think she's still punching above her weight at 14, although I really do like her. I just don't. I don't know. I think there's room for somebody else. Zariel and Jessica in this range, 13th and 11th, I've had some questions about. And then Archangel Elspeth, I've seen some arguments for. I think I put her higher than I would. It's just I heard enough from people in the chats that like her that I don't usually let that influence me too much, but I do put them a little bit higher when the audience is like, oh, that's my favorite, it's my favorite, when I give my initial like takes and stuff on them in Discord. So with that said, any of those immediately stand out to you? Like, wow.
Yeah, there are a few of them. Well, one, I just picked up Mordenkainen. He's going to be one of those guys that I use to level up for the things. But I was curious about it because like you rated him so high, and nobody ever plays him, so I was just like, there's probably something to this guy. So I'll get to him when I get to him. Professor Onyx is so balanced to me. Like she's a pretty solid walker to me, but she's so balanced that she doesn't quite have like the explosive abilities that like other Lilianas do. So that's why I'm not as high on her as you might be. Her abilities are all cool, but they're all kind of like, I don't know, B- abilities to me. She's kind of a B- walker for me.
Okay. Which is where I ranked her. I put her as a B-.
Oh, okay.
I ranked her as a B-. I think this time around I was more critical on walkers than I have been in the past. Like if I find something that's neat and fun about them, I'm like, oh, that's it. It's so good. Yay.
Mm-hmm.
But as I went through this, and I literally played them side by side, and that's another thing I did too, guys. I don't know if I really conveyed this or communicated this properly. I did play with all of them, and I played with them in ranked event kind of stuff, and I played with them with peasant and pauper cards. I didn't bother with the power cards, because the power cards, it doesn't matter. You're just going to win. Galta is Galta. You're going to Galta. And I don't care what Green Walker it is, you're just galting at a whole. That's S class all on its own. Sage Animus, new players, if you're here, if you exist. If you get Sage Animus, which is the one they give you first, and you can go track down Galta, you don't need another Green Walker. Don't get another Green Walker. Even Gris, don't get her. Go get Dakin, go get Bolas 1, go get somebody that's going to complete your color chart, and then get another mono walker that completes your color chart, or a dual color walker that completes your color chart. Okay? You say, Jet, she's good enough. I played with her. Her third is it's gross, but it's based on the cards you have in your deck. So if you take your A tier, S tier list from World Waker or any of the other green, like even Garrick Unleashed, throw it into Sage Animus. You've got an A plus S tier walker. It's stupid. Now that said, you want synergy from the abilities to help smooth out your meta play, right? So really, I'm talking. I think my list is more directed to people that are just kind of getting started, or that have limited collection. Because if you have all the cards, dude, it doesn't matter. Pick Fibblethip, you're gonna dominate. Ambiguity and all of the control, you're gonna win. And he sucks. I can't stand him. But if I'm Steam Core Scholar into all of my abilities, I'm just going to remove everything off the board. I can make it work. But to me, if you take all that away and you're working with a much limited perspective, and for this next batch of ones I'm doing, all of my builds are going to be rated on no more than 3 rares and then all commons and uncommons after that. So pick your 3 rares and then commons and uncommons. And then I got a list. If you got Dragonhawk, if you've got Seasons of whatever, if you've got blah, 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 right? Cool. You're gonna win, right? Doesn't matter. But the point of it is that if that walker can't win with those weak cards, and weak by the meta standards, like where things are in the meta right now, that's what we have to. I believe that's what we have to judge them by. I would like your intake and input on that, sir.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. You can build some pretty dominant peasant builds right now in standard, which is cool. And yeah, I mean, I'll play around with certain walkers just to, get a better feel for things. Like I probably use Eliwick more than anybody in this community.
That's funny. You're the guy.
Because, I mean, not because she's like great. Well, for one, her name starts with E, so she's a lot easier to get to.
Easy does start with E, now.
That's true. So she's like kind of a nice basic green walker that's definitely an upgrade from starter Nissa.
Yeah.
She has okay abilities. The second one is actually kind of underrated, but what I like about her is that you can just kind of test your builds to see like, okay, can I build a nice, like solid, well-rounded deck with her and win with it. And she's kind of all right for that. But I mean, I'm just such a tinkerer type of player that I'm just always building stuff with different walkers. So I'm not advocating for people to buy her or anything like that. I'm more just saying like you can do a lot with these walkers that are sometimes undervalued or just never seen because other people don't play her.
And the other side of that too goes to here's the caveat. This is my disclaimer. I should be giving all of these, right? Whatever you find fun, disregard everybody else's opinion. Whatever is fun for you, that's the thing that matters most. Because At the end of the day, as opinionated and as much as I'm like, fight me, this is blah, 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 I'm just being silly, guys. Whatever. At the end of the day, if you love Fibblethip, like I said, still disagree about you with Fibblethip, love the challenge of make him work. That's fun for you, right? And that you should lean into all the time. It's not fun for me. And furthermore, here's the only other thing I throw in that if you're a newer player, right? I'm very careful not to recommend more challenging or tougher to make work walkers because we play this game to win. And if we're losing too much in the beginning, we're not going to continue to play. So for that newer player, it's really important for me specifically, and I think for most leaders, you really should take this into account. Try to separate your biases from what you're recommending and recommend what you actually think will help them win more. And if you can get a sense of what their play styles, their preferences are in Paper Magic or in other games they play, if they haven't played Magic proper, helping them find what works for them. Chewable Trash, when she first came on board and she was in our server, I said what I love to do is I said show me your cards, show me everything you got, and then I'll go and try to optimize a build for what they've got in those cards, peasant, whatever it is. And with her, I showed her how to build a loop, and she built her first loop, and she did it. She got it to loop, and she was all excited about it. She doesn't like loops now, but she got a chance, I think, I'm assuming because she hasn't said it as much, but she did make some comments when it made me think this, is that she got a sense of, there's a puzzle here, right, that I get to play with, and she fell in love with, I think she fell in love with it because she's still playing, and you should ask her. Chewable Trash is awesome. I hate calling her Trash. She's CT. She's amazing. She's an awesome person. But she's in the server. Guys should tag her and ask her questions, especially if you're a newer player. She has incredible insights to new players. But that said, I think that's the real importance of this, and that's what really drives my tier list. I guess that's the point of what I'm trying to say is that that the walkers that I list here are really with a noob focus first, and that again that's the reason why, especially for mono walkers, I gave the 2-tiered system of ranking. Like here's where I think she is on my preference list. It's really what it is. It's not the best walker list. It's my preference list maybe. But I do try to lean into what abilities are good, and if they have one ability, an S tier ability, you can play into that, and that's usually good enough to win the game. Is my thoughts. I've been speaking for my allotted 75% of the time. It is MainLoop. What would you like to say? Anything you want to say to that, man?
To that point, no, I think you nailed it. The only thing I was thinking of was you brought up Fibblethip. Actually, not that bad. For one reason, Sunken Citadel gives all his colors
meta. That's a meta point, right? And even in my video, I'm like, all I'm saying is Citadel, right? Citadel makes all bad mana bonuses better. In fact, like we debated this. I'm like, I think +5/+5 and then flat everywhere else is a bad. It's not bad, but it's not optimal. I don't prefer it.
It's not as good as it used to be, for sure.
No, I prefer 1, 2, 3, 4, and then maybe a minus somewhere, or 3 pluses. Right, a 5 and a 2 and a 2, or a 3 and a 3, because I'm at a Citadel all day long. I live in the Citadel. That enters battlefield, and then that every turn impact just makes such a massive difference to drive the engine. Meta, but in 2 years now, and that's meta for 2 years, unless they nerf it, which I don't think they would. That would be dumb. I hope they don't. Webcore, if you're watching, don't nerf it. I need that card. But here's another one we haven't talked about. I'll talk about in my next video. A Bolas 2. Which is right up there with Koth 1 for me. I can't stand Koth 1. Koth 1 still sucks. Even with Sunken Citadel, Koth 1 is awful. Don't play him. Go get Koth Fire of Resistance. He's much better than Koth 1. Go get Jaya Ballard. She's got +9 too. She's better than Koth 1, and I don't like that mana. I don't like +9 in one color. It's too ridiculous. Unless you have Koth Vanguard or Cryptics or something like that, viable, good, go. You got those, you like playing with that, knock yourself out. But that new player that hears you old dogs say, Koth is good, man, you're really hurting those kids. You're hurting those kids, man. They're going to have a bad experience. Sometimes it pays to get a mono walker just because you have the cards in the standard decks to get rewards. It can be worth it. Yeah, you're exchanging what, though? 250 gold for 20 pinks? Do you understand what he's saying, Maynard? He's saying, you can go get it and get those in. So you get 25 pinks, cool. The challenge with that, though, is just go play BFTA, right?
I think it's a better idea to get the PMA and PM2 walkers for that, because you get the free card that comes with it instead.
And that's definitely worth it. Yeah. That's one thing I missed in my rankings, is that I didn't take into account which walkers give you good cards. So like,
well, like Guff gives you Teferi Vanguard,
right?
So that's
like that's got to be something
that
I
alone
mentioned,
makes him
right?
almost worth it.
Right. Absolutely, especially for legacy play, because that's a card that's a legacy impacting card. So that's got to be one of the things I bring up in my tricolor rankings that I mentioned, because it's important. You make hurting kids sound like a bad thing.
Yeah.
In most states, it is a bad thing. All right. So the thing for Onyx that I will say is this: the builds that I have for her right now are focused on Archpriest of the Druid, or Archpriest of the
Shadows.
Shadows. You know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm trying to say. And so because of that, there's a lot of yard play. But her first 6 mana, pick and fetch one of the first 4 cards from your library, then destroy the others. So yard fill, right? That's yard fill to me. Then the other thing here is that copy that card. If it's a spell card, copy it gains 3 mana. Otherwise, your opponent loses 3 life. So if there are if I have Ob Nixilis, I didn't demonstrate this, but if I have Ob Nixilis on board and I trigger the first, I'm drawing a free spell card on top, or I'm drawing a free card, and if it's a spell, it's getting full mana by triggering my first. So there's a synergy there. Very card dependent, right? However, no Ob Nixilis. Let's just talk about, not that. You're doing yard fill, so with Archpriest of the Shadows, I'm able to go in there and start feeding the yard, get her out on the board, and do the things I want there, and I'm getting double draw, and I'm keeping hand advantage. I think it's a solid first ability. It's not as strong as Lil X. It's not as strong as Grist, obviously, in that regard. And again, we're comparing mono walkers in a world full of OP dual color and tricolor walkers, right? You should not have this. I'm literally talking, if they wiped away dual and triple colored walkers, would I play with it? I would play with this in that regard. The second ability, create a dissection class token. Your opponent discards the first non-spell card, then the first spell card in your hand gains full mana. Full mana with all beseech the mirror or beseech the breach the multiverse is an absolute staple card. Like that's an A tier card in the meta right now. If you're running, anything that's big and black, the spell, right? For 12 loyalty, I'm getting that spell for free.
This is our best ability to me.
By far.
That also that dissection class token can really stack up the life loss on your opponent too if they're not careful with it. So
do I have it?
It's a little less impactful in today's meta when you got things that are just constantly destroying supports. So planeswalkers that rely on support like their token supports to win take a little hit these days.
Yeah, well,
that's the one thing I would say.
Am I sharing this with you? I should be sharing this with you. Hold on, give me a second. Let me
sharing what?
My screen. You're not seeing what I'm putting up.
No,
I'm
putting
up
what
we're talking about. Collab cam. There you are. Edit. I'm going to share. No settings. There it is. Webcam source. Share with mind map. Let's see how much of that you can see.
Okay, I could see the whole card.
Nice. That's excellent. Okay. That's what I need. That's all I need. Everything else is optional. All right.
Sweet.
All right, cool.
Okay.
Hey, dudes. Firewing here. What's up, Wang? Hey, guys. Change how you pronounce mana. Is that a conscious choice? It is. I'll talk about that here in a second, the Hunter. So, in this case, Magecraft 3, your opponent loses 2 life, you gain 2 life. Where does that work again? I already mentioned it.
Oh yeah, Masterpiece.
Ob Nixilis, captive Kingpin. So again, free spells.
I forgot about that.
Synergy, right? So again, this is a play style, and this is one of those things where you need that card for it to be functional. On its own, it's decent, it's fair, but you want to look for other things that trigger life loss and all that other stuff. But in my opinion, I think that is, build aroundable, and it makes her a lot more fun. Those mana bonuses are significant in my opinion. And her third ability,
pretty solid.
It's cheap at 18. Your opponent discards 6 cards. Your opponent loses X life, and you gain X life. X is the number of creature cards in both graveyards. So this doesn't trigger. It doesn't synergize with Ob, but it is what it is. And if it's less than 4 cards, if you're playing some form of hand hate and they ditch less than 4 cards, then sorry, I've got a trailer here that's doing some backup stuff. Then you're doing an additional 20 points of damage. Not near as strong as Jace Shiok, but pretty phenomenal still. I love it. Anyways, so I think
one thing I'll say about this ability too, I used to use her a lot in a Timeless Voyage, the one where your opponent gets an extra swap.
Yep.
And the reason is because each player gets full loyalty. So, and it's on your turn first. So if you hit that third ability, it basically takes out all of their cards that they thought they were gonna fill with mana on their turn. So
could you imagine
it was a good stall tactic to
win. And it's like time reversal as a spell, right?
Right.
If you're using blue green and you're using Sylvan, what is it? The one that gives free?
Well, Sylvan Tutor?
Sylvan Tutor, thank you. Sylvan Tutor. Because then it gives them 15 mana, but then if you cast Timeless Voyage or time reversal after that, then you're just dumping your hand, and that you don't have to worry about it. So it's a nice little counterplay. Hand hate is a big deal right now, man. Hand hate is a big deal. Anyways, that's enough talk about Professor Onyx. I think we're on the same page with it. I just think that there's, for the right player with the right cards, that becomes something that's worthwhile to play as a group there. Mordenkainen, you're playing now. Any initial thoughts on him before?
I haven't even touched him yet, to be honest. Right. I'm keeping him as my level up for quest guy. So it will be like a year before I touch him.
His strength is those mana bonuses. They're really, 4, 5, and 3 are fantastic.
Okay.
He's got
pretty good.
Really flexible mana there. In addition to that, his third is what it's about. It's the discard and draw. So anything with draw abilities, knowledge is power, things of that nature, going into that, leaning into that, he works really well with. His first ability is a bit annoying in that the roll 20 stuff is just not functional. And his secondary ability is okay in a pinch. I never use it. It's just really about ramping into his third because it only costs 18 to pull off. Fairly cheap, and it's got a good wheel effect, and it gives you mana. And the token that's on board, the Mordenkainen's what's it? Let me go take a look at that. For some reason, that was a good memory. Cognitive. Oh, it's penultimate cogitation. Whatever,
Who came up with that?
Right, some smart guy, nerd. When you cast a non-copy spell card from your first time for each turn, roll a d20. 1 through 10, copy that card against half its mana. So that's not mana. That's not great, but it's not bad. But over 50%, 11 through 18 plus, copy that card against full mana. 19 through 20, very rare chance you're going to get 2 copies of that at full mana. So it's just a little too...
that's actually pretty good.
It's pretty solid. It's just a little too... what's the word I'm looking for? It's a little too irate. It's a little too inconsistent.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's the problem with these roll a d20 planeswalkers at the end of the day.
Yeah,
I like sure things. So we can talk about that when we get to Zariel. But
yeah, and Zariel's a little bit different in that I think she's aggro enough. We can talk about her now. In fact, I think she's aggro enough that she compensates for that enough in her build, so that the roll 20, the first one, is really the brutal one. 1 through 10, creatures get plus. Even then, it's still something, right? There's some positive impact as long as it's there. So you still get a +6 for a fail for the most part, and they gain haste. So now again, that's not how haste works.
Is that every time? As long as you roll, because I've had it where it doesn't give haste.
Only 1 through 10.
Oh, that's what it is.
Right,
then.
Only 1 through 10.
Yeah.
If it's 11 or above, you destroy 6 non-red gems, and then if it's 20, perform both of these things, right? So 11 through 19, destroy 6 non-red gems. I would prefer it's for 6 mana. I'm destroying the gems, because then that gives me a chance to cascade and do the things I want to. It's putting more red gems in my favor. That's more consistent.
Right.
So if I don't have creatures on board, right, then if I get the first one, the 1 through 10, 50% of the shot, it's kind of a whiff. It's really about her second, though. Her second is really what it's all about.
Yeah.
Roll a D20.
Second's the reason to play her. Yeah. I like the third, but the second's
pretty much you dump into. Same mana spread as the others with the roll 20s, right? So 4, 5, 3 to their color spreads. So all the things that are good with those for mana sake, just in a different color sequence. But if you spam her second, at 12 loyalty, you should be able to get into it fairly quickly. I'll tell you the biggest challenge with all the mono red walkers they suffer is their cards in meta are really not strong. Yes, Dragonhawk, yes, Chaos Warp, and then what?
Right.
But
that's about it.
That's it. You got 2 cards at the top, and they're the best cards in standard. You got Ariel, the Law Above. Sorry, that's the third one. Those 3 are like my top 3 cards in red. Everything else after that is situational, synergized, focused, and that makes it tougher. So I despite that though, with the cards that are in meta right now, and everybody chasing Dragonhawk and Tyrant, twin Tyrant, whatever it is, the dragon that does the double damage stuff.
Well, for me, I play Judith with her because of the devils.
Yeah,
so that's how I like to play her.
Judith and her life gain for those devils, you guys are missing out if you're not really taking full advantage of that. That makes a massive difference in the game for me. So that's why I rank her so high. Again, and it's only, we're talking about a B+, C+ versus a B-, C-, right? So it's not a big difference. It's just preference and what cards are available in the meta right now for them. And really, the difference is, if you have Dragonhawk, a red mono walker. If you don't have Dragonhawk and you have Ambiguity, a blue walker. Like, what power cards do you have? That's the key to what really dictates who should be higher in your rankings. So if you're a newer player and you're looking at this list saying, oh, Goz says that Ajani Invigorate Leadership is aces. Well, I argue he's aces no matter what you have. He's just strong no matter what, right?
No, he's the top of everyone's list for a reason. Yeah,
same with Jace Reawakened. He's my S tier walker because he needs nothing and he will destroy you. He is disgustingly good, right? Garrick doesn't need much. He just needs some big bodies, which are pretty easy to get in green, and he can go to town. Then you add some of the other green stuff that's out there, and he beats everybody. Ren and Realmbreaker are strong. Yeah, on your 5th to 7th turn, Garrick destroyed you already. He already beat you against a live player, right? Or you've already won. I want more finesse. Fine, pick what you like, pick what's fun. I'm talking about a straight power, straight ability. What's in the meta?
Oh yeah,
using it. Garrick is my
when it comes to when it comes to just blowing, like hitting your opponent as hard as you can, quickly as you can. Garrick's hard to beat.
Yeah, and I prefer him over Chaos Bringer, Domri.
Oh yeah, I'm not the biggest Domri fan anymore.
I'm not either.
I never was like, I never thought she was like S tier or A tier or anything. She was always kind of B+ for me.
Is Domri a woman? I thought it was a dude.
Oh, sorry, you're right.
Whatever.
I think I just default to she with a lot of these walkers.
Saturday nights, you never know. A couple of grogs, you might put on a wig. We'll see. Let's see. What else do we want to talk about here? I think that's enough talk on the top, on the 11 through 20s. I think those are there. It's about midway through. You want to get into our Chronoclast? You want to get into our Teferi?
All right, let's do it.
You guys ready? All right, chime in, boys and girls.
Bring him back
and in betweens. I'll pull them up here. I got them if you want to look at my screen.
Oh, okay.
Teferi Chronoclast.
That's hard for me to read.
Second worst life total in the game.
That's the biggest knock against them for me, for sure.
In control,
the life totals.
For me, if you start slow and they're fast, you have a clock. And it didn't used to matter because the clock was slower before. But it seems the clock is so much faster right now in standard that I don't think I have 7 turns to establish control. And I might not always get there. That's my play experience with Teferi. And I know all you control guys, Ambiguity and all these other cards. Yes, for me who have all the cards, I can go do that. And it's okay. I don't think you play Ren and Realmbreaker right. You're probably right. Go into the Discord and put in that there for me. We'll talk about that here in a bit. We're going to get to our top 10s in a second. Ren and Realmbreaker obliterates any Garrick. When and what turn? Go measure your turns. I'm not arguing her third is an S tier. I'm not arguing that. I'm saying I've already won with Garrick. And for most new players with limited card sets, I'll take that all day long over her. We'll debate. We'll get to that when we get to them. Sorry. But back to this MainLoop. Stay on focus, man. Keep on target. I don't like his first. I was wrong about a second. I'm going to say that out loud. I was wrong about a second. I don't find his third useful. His mana spread is
I'm not awesome. Huge on his third either.
Yeah, and I think his passive is weak.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. And finally, at the core of why I don't like Chronoclast, I get the biggest impact of what he does waiting for my opponent to do something. And I hate that playstyle. I hate. What's funny is I'm a blue black red or blue black white control player in paper. I love passing with untapped mana and saying go. right? You've never played Magic the Gathering paper proper.
Yeah, I don't know what that means at all.
So when you have lands on board, you tap them to release the mana. So here we swap gems to get the
Okay.
mana. In the game, you
Oh,
tap
all
the
right.
cards to get mana. So in blue, what that means is if I have all my mana untapped and I say, your turn, I'm literally saying, I dare you to cast something because I'm going to counterspell it. And I'm going to just stop
Okay.
whatever you're trying to do, and it's going to go in the graveyard, and you're not going to be able to do it. And then I'm going to play my effects at the end of your turn so I can actually do things on my turn. That's why I like that stuff. I love that
Okay.
playstyle. For whatever reason in Puzzle Quest, I can't stand that. And I think it's because it's not true interaction. I only get 3 places to interact with my opponent, right? On their turn. Beginning of
Right.
turn effects, right? When they trigger my gems or before combat, right? So if they still get to cast all their things, I'm not countering anything. The deny gems are as close to that as possible, but that's not like what's the blue gem that counters whatever you cast? It just
Are you
puts
talking
it in
about
mana.
time bubbles?
Not time bubbles don't do that. Time bubbles match and discard a card sometimes, not every time, right?
Okay, what are you
I'm
asking
talking
that?
about there's an
Maybe
old
I'm
school legacy card where if it's a support on the board and it's got 2 shield and you cast something.
Oh, sure. Insidious Will.
Insidious Will, thank you. I never remember he's the one that remembers stuff. I don't remember Jack squat. Insidious Will is a counter card to me. I put it on board and say, you got to get rid of this or have a counter play because whatever you're casting next ain't going to hit the board. Strivix, the new Strivix thing.
Oh, yeah. What is it, like Strix Serenade, I think?
Yeah, Strix Serenade or something like that. That does that too. That's counter spell play to me. It's janky, but it is legit. Time bubbles work sometimes, they don't work, and I think I think maybe if I just had some clarity on how to optimize that on my side versus just spam the board and hope that it works, that feels a little out of my control. All right, and that does, and to me is not control. That is to the will of the AI making matches on the board, and that ain't it. Does that make sense?
True. Yeah.
All right, I'll shut up now, please. Counterpoint.
Well, for me, like there are certain planeswalkers that are really like they're tools in your box, right? So for me, he's the best tool in my box if I want to make sure that I need to stall for objectives and things like that and win that way. Like there are a lot of especially legacy events where they're like winning X or more turns and things like that. He's my go-to for that because you can just put a lot of cheap cards in your decks that are really devastating. Insidious Will is one, Ambiguity, obviously. Few other ones, Test of Talents, all the cards you love. So so for me, he runs those the best. He's got really good mana bonuses on blue, so I can those cards that make blue gems just by playing them. He's really good at running those. That second ability, you race to that as quickly as you can and start to get things going faster for you. Yeah, it's just like he's just the best for me at total lockdown. Jace Reawakened is a very close second, but the fact that he enhances all those really silly blue PMA cards makes him that much better at running things like Ambiguity, Time Walk, other cards like that. The anti-clockwise token makes a bunch of oh wait, no, I'm thinking of the wrong one, but the first and second ability creating deny gems and stuff like that is really key to making those other cards work. So he's the best at running those blue PMA cards. So for that reason, for me, he's a lot better than the other blue walkers for running that set of cards. And even if you're not running those cards, I feel like his mana bonuses and his passive ability and all that help you kind of keep your opponent at bay a bit as you build up your blue, or not even your blue creatures, whatever creatures you're using helps you get them going. So I just think that his kit is pretty good for running a lot of the good blue stuff out there.
I hear that. And again, mana bonuses, I will not argue. That mana bonus spread is S tier. Did I put it as an S? Because it's an S. Did I put it as S? I gave it an A plus. It really is an S. As I look at it again, it's an S tier. I think maybe 7 to blue. I think that's what it was. I think the defining S tier is 7 in the main color and then 3 in 2 others, plus 3 in 2 others.
The -3 on red hurts a bit sometimes.
Does it?
But
I never
sometimes.
look at minuses as a big deal, as long as I've had, especially when I have 3 colors in the positive and then Sunken Citadel. But even without, like, this is a walker I could run without Citadel and still have more than enough mana, in my opinion, to get stuff done, especially with all the conversion from ambiguity and stuff. There's those that need Sunken Citadel and then those that don't, and then those that can't benefit from Citadel. Maybe that's the way I need to categorize these going forward. In today's meta, there's only three Citadel situations. Doesn't help. Massively helps and makes it playable, or doesn't help. Right? I don't know. What's the other one then? Or just as a push. So here's my point. I hear you, everything you said there, and I understand it. And for those of you guys that are playing this walker, I completely get it. I think MainLoop understands my play style enough, and where it's just the most where I just, everybody calls you're an aggro player. You like everything has to be aggro and OP. My counter to that is I'm looking at the meta and I'm looking at ways to win, clearing all objectives. Like I score all my objectives, right, in the weekend events for the most part, unless it's like a bonehead play, right? That's me. That's not the build. But in addition to that, get all my objectives, and then I still win in 7 turns or so, right?
Mm-hmm.
And for some folks, that's not fun. They want to have some back and forth. They want to feel that ebb and flow. That's fine. My concern with that is I feel like I lose more the longer a match goes, because
totally.
Because Greg can cascade like Greg, because he can go do the dumbest stuff he wants to, and it just doesn't matter. And in that regard, it's not fun. It's just, it feels, maybe this is my old top 10 competitive play, days where I just felt like, oh God, every point lost is a big deal. And I feel like, even like somebody made a comment in here, if you're losing in the early rounds, you didn't build your deck right. Yeah, there's so much removal, but that's also true with any deck. And so for me, I feel more in control. I guess this is therapy. Thank you, MainLoop. Thank you guys for being here. I feel more in control when I have 2 extra swaps a turn than if I'm denying gems on the board. And furthermore, if I add ambiguity to 2 extra swaps, what are they going to do? There's just nothing they're going to do to beat me. I have plenty of everything I need. I have more time, I have more options, I have more flexibility, I have more control in my options. I'm not leaving it up to fate. I'm seeding the board with stuff that's going to decimate my opponent, but in addition to that, I'm also putting my threats on board at a much faster pace. That's final retort. And second final comment on this is the creatures I see being played to optimize Chronoclast seem so weak and slow. Like Steam Core Scholar is fine for 1 position, but then what? Like what's your win con in that? What's your go-to win creature?
If I'm playing him, let me see. I'm just going to bring up my decks here. My win con.
You guys chime in. What do you guys use? What's your win con? Because I evaluate a deck build as removal, supports, and creatures, right? And mono blue's weak in that right now outside of bounce. Aegis is good. Snag and sack is fun, or snag and bounce is fun. I'll use Run Away Together with Kidnap or Aegis. I'll take their creature. They'll have 3 creatures on the board. I'll take the first creature and the last creature. I'll take their first creature. I'll bounce one of their creatures on their side. Then I'll bounce the creature I took back into hand. And if there's no room in hand, then one of them gets destroyed. And I'll take the one. I take the one whatever Kidnap takes. And then Kidnap can paralyze one of them too. So I'll tag the third. Kidnap is an awesome card. If you guys aren't playing with it.
Oh yeah, I love Kidnap.
Weenies love Volstrider. Yeah.
Well, in my deck, I have a deck that I use specifically for coalition events, and that one, my win con there is Ulamog and Kozilek. So we're talking 2 mythic PM2 cards.
Well,
so I might be the wrong person to ask.
When you're a boss, show off your flavor, right?
Right.
For us for the normies in here, for the not whales, what do
Yeah.
you choose in blue? Like just in standard blue. That's another thing I'm doing too in my deck builds for featuring in Planeswalker Strength is I'm not using PM2 cards, and I'm not going to be using Vanguards either. It's just strictly going to be main standard cards, 2 or 3 rares, and then the rest common and common cards to spotlight. Hey, is this Walker actually strong, or is it something that it looks neat, but I don't have the cards to pull it off, right? I play
Right.
to not lose. Doesn't matter. It's quick or slow. Quicker ideally, but slow, no problem. If I can't lose, Greg can't win. Easy max points. That's Nathan says that.
Yeah, that's not really my play style either. I
Yeah.
know that's Nalthazar a lot more than you and I. You and I, we're just like max efficiency. Like that's
Yeah.
kind of what we're saying when you're talking about that. Like it's like if I win too slow, I get bored. Like I'm
Yeah.
not gonna play that too
Yeah.
often.
Opera Stomper. Opera
That's
Stomper gave me a deck to play, and he's like, "Oh, you got to try this. This is super control." And he even actually joined the coalition, and we faced each other PvP. He wrecked me. I mean, he just made me call him all kinds of just niceties and yes, ma'am, may I have an? He destroyed me with his
sure.
control deck. It was awesome. It took 30 turns for me to go play that deck and win in standard, and I'm
Yeah.
thumbing my eyes out at that. It was just like, no, I would rather
Yeah.
lose a few points here and there or drop a couple matches, especially in like quick battles or whatever they are now. I forget the name.
And quick battle doesn't matter.
Quick battle in training grounds. I don't mind that because it doesn't matter. You're like, what do you lose? You don't lose anything. It's maximum speed to go through and play. Or if I'm testing
I'll quit
builds,
out of a battle if I'm not winning fast enough in quick battles.
Right. Because what does it cost? It doesn't cost anything. Just one healing potion, move on. You're good.
Yeah.
But in that regard, it's like
for me,
there's too much of a time frame. I'm sorry. Go, please.
Oh no, sorry. I was gonna say, like for me, the only time I'm playing Teferi is when the objectives call for it. Like when I'm playing, like the objective is to play slow. So I'm not putting in like some hardcore win cons in those decks. Like one of the ones that I'm using right now is actually Jin Gitaxias, the masterpiece that discards all the cards in your opponent's hand.
Love that card. Core Augur. I love that card.
Core Augur.
That card's amazing.
I actually have that's a new one I'm trying here. Grappling Kraken. The one
that's the deck I played
when you landfall.
Yeah, that's the one you play. I played yours, and I couldn't get to it fast enough, and it's a 5 body or something like that. The power on it's 5.
6. Oh, okay, that's the one. Yeah. So I'm using like the decks I'm using for them are specifically for events that like the whole point is to keep my opponent from doing anything. So I just feel like he's the best at doing that. I mean, maybe in the future I might change my mind and think Jace is actually better. I think Jace overall is better for most things in the game, but it's all just things. That when it
for
comes
our viewing
to
public,
this one
Jace Reawakened is better in all things.
But for this very specific thing, I feel like there's not even like a close second for me when it comes to running the types of decks that I use for him.
Okay, so my counter argument to that, not in a mono walker state, is Quintorius Canned. That's who I use for X or more events or rounds, turns.
Okay, no, that's fair.
And I find that the control it has, with especially at a peasant level, with assemble and dots, right? Like I can go compete in legacy events with that. I can put on the board what I want. In fact, I have to hold assemble back most times. The life gain I can get from him and the destructive nature, like I can take the time I need especially against PVE events where that's just bigger life totals. I can gain the life, and just every time I'm gaining life, I'm ticking up my life gain, and then in addition to that, I'm powering up my third nuke, and that synergy in Quintorius I can't recommend it. I love that, but he's one of my favorite planeswalkers right now to play. Some of the people answered here. Chronoclast dominates mid to late game. He can be vulnerable early game, but if that's a problem, then you suck, Goz. Yeah, thanks, Nathan. Ugin
he
Bindings.
Can be. That's why I play like low cost cards to make sure that that's not happening to me too much. Like if you're playing something like Kidnap, which is only like, what is it, 7 or 9 mana, something ridiculously
it's so
low.
Broken. It's so good. I love that.
Things card. Like that are really good for Teferi to keep controlling those early game or early parts of the match.
Yeah. Nathan then says build for threats early game, and when you make it to mid-late game, Greg simply can't win. I agree. I'm not arguing that. I do agree with that, even without ambiguity. Okay. Translating MainLoop, I love Teferi because he's evil. True. And maybe that's part of the other challenge too. Is like you guys are so evil. Why would you do that to other players? Why?
It's not even evil.
I never
it's
lose.
that...
I never lose when I'm playing a real deck. I never lose to Teferi for the most part.
Yeah.
I do lose objectives though. I lose objectives because his life total is so low. I win too quick against him, or he'll hurt himself like a dumbass or whatever because Greg's a moron, right?
Well, you could replace Liliana with Teferi in that sentence too, and it's the same thing.
Right. Oh yeah.
I freaking hate facing her in coalition events. Not because I lose to her, but because she loses to herself.
Oh, she's such an idiot. I can't stand her. And then buzzing through the rest of these, let's see. PM Johnny benefit heavily from Fist of Suns. Yes, Chronoclast. Anything with ambiguity in Fist of Suns is amazing. The other one is in Johnny Invigorate Leadership. You should be running Fist of Suns in there because it's just full mana all the time. On that note, the Hunter. The reason I'm saying mana versus mana is because we actually had a conversation with the content creators. And I'm not. This isn't a moral thing. It's just I heard Paladin Robin saying mana all the time, and I'm like, where did you get that from? Why do you say it that way? I was making fun of him, really. And he's like, well, that's actually the way it's supposed to be pronounced. And he went through the edamame of what the history of that wordage is. Right? I'm making stuff up. Just ignore me. And after he schooled me on what the actual origin of it was, I'm like, oh, you're right. And the reason that's important to me is because my wife's Native American. And when we hear certain words, we hear certain things. Like there's I'm not going to say the words here, but there's certain references to women in Native American culture, and that's not good. It's never. It's a derogatory slang. So when certain groups and cultures come to me and say, hey, this is what we prefer as a people, you don't say. Like there was a football team, right? However you guys feel about this, not turning this political, but when a football team is saying, and the people of that nation are saying, hey man, that's a racial slur. Can we please change that? Can we please change the Sambo nature of this caricature of our people? I'm one of the types that's like, yeah, that's pretty a-holy in my opinion. So when I heard that explanation, I'm like, I'm going to start trying to pronounce it correctly. And so that's what I'm working towards. So you'll hear me slip. I'll say mana, and then I'll say mana, and then I'll correct myself. And that's me just working on changing the vernacular because it's been, 30 years of me playing Magic that I'm over here trying to change something, not even correct it, but just change it. So that's why I do it. That's all. But everyone, and I don't go on a moral thing like you should be saying it, like whatever you want to say, it's fine. It's just one of those things where I personally choose to exhibit that way. So there you go. Not with Chrono-clast Great Cascades well at all. Weenies love I play not to lose. Doesn't matter if it's quick or slow. Says Nathan. I use Jin Cataxius, Atraxa, and another Phyrexian. Phyrexian Vindicator. Well, no, not Vindicator. Toxic. Someone runs Toxin with that loop.
Oh yeah, Roy does. Okay, yeah. I've done that before. I just don't love Toxin loops anymore. Really. Yeah.
Alquist Prophet, he triggers off of the time bubbles, so your creatures get nice buffs. That's a good one.
Oh, that's an interesting idea.
Yeah, I'll have to try some of those. That's another challenge I have. Is that
I thought Alquist triggered only off of simple supports, but I guess not. Huh. Interesting.
Interesting. All right. Let's get into our top 10.
All right.
Now that we had it out. So will I change my mind about Chronoclast? No.
I'm guessing no.
The answer is no. I will play. Now, I will say this. This is the concession I will give. I have been playing with him more since people were like, boo, you boo this man. I'm like, wait, hold up. Maybe I'm doing something. His second ability is much better than I anticipated. And what's funny is I did play with him. It's not like how I can tell Goz didn't play with him. He's saying the second's bad. And okay. I played with it. I didn't focus on it. I was trying to get to the thirds and get a good spotlight on the rest of them. But as I'm sitting here, especially with the deck Loop gave me, because he chimed in right away, like, you're an idiot. Play this deck. He's good. All right. But as I started playing with it, I found I had to lean into that second a lot. And the more I did, I'm like, wow, okay, I see it now. Yeah. I get it. This is really good.
The second ability is the engine really that makes it really go. Yeah.
Yeah. And what did I give it before? What was the ranking before? Because I need to give it a better score.
D or something like that. I think you gave him.
Score. Now I give it a B+. It is an A+. I will give it an A+.
Oh, the ability. I thought you gave him like overall like a D or something.
I gave him a C+. And for new players, I gave him a D-. I'll fight anybody that says he's good for new players. He's not. He's a terrible walker for new players. He does not. You got to have the right cards. don't have ambiguity, you don't have enough control cards in blue, you're going to get stomped, man. You're not going to win. And we even had somebody who came in who purchased him off of somebody else's recommendation and say, I can't win with him because I don't have enough of a collection to go make it work. And that might be deck building too,
that's
right?
fair.
Like I'm not going to argue that. He may need some help deck building. But yeah, I stand firm by that C+,
maybe.
D- deal. We'll see. Maybe summer sale, I'll change my mind and rank him a little higher. We'll see. All right, let's quickly get into our top 10.
All right.
Number 10, GozMaster Flowers, because he's on brand, people. And he's actually very good. He is very good.
He's good.
I like him
he was for sure the best mono white walker before Ajani came to town.
For sure.
He's still my go-to when I want to do like token shenanigans in white because his third ability.
He's great with bunnies. Go run tempt with bunnies.
That's a good idea.
And then what do you do with the leftover bunnies that are debuffed, right? If you don't win right away. Turn them into gods. God bunnies. You got Bugs Bunny sitting over here, right? It's amazing. It's fun. I can't remember the name of the other Phyrexian in town. Oh, put it in the Discord when you find it.
It's a rare. Thrumming Bird, probably. The rare when a creature attack, you proliferate and escalate. Yeah.
Oh. Okay. In what universe is Grandmaster Flowers better than Archangel Elspeth?
I didn't say it was.
I did. I put Archangel as 12th and I put GozMaster as 10th. We can debate that. First off, what is your take on that, Mr. Maynard T. Loop?
Personally, I think she's the most fun of the mono white walkers. It fits my play style a lot. I like Graveyard Recursion, and having that in mono white is a really unique and cool ability. I like all of her abilities. Even the board wipe one, because
you do like that one. Okay, because we discussed that quite a bit.
Yeah. I mean, it's not one I use a lot, but it definitely helps in a pinch when you're if you've fallen behind at all. But my decks, I mean, I barely ever fall behind with her because I just the strength of the rest of the things in my cards that I don't really have to worry about it.
Requisition Raid and Chaos Warp are necessary in the meta right now. They wipe the board and reset, so it doesn't matter what Greg has. You win.
Well, Requisition Raid, yeah, but then also she gets to use things like Redress Fate, right, as a moth because of her abilities.
Yeah, right.
And I love that. Master of Keys with her is awesome. And then it's not hard to make a strong peasant build with her because of Aurelia and other cards like that. Assemble the Players.
Right.
I think she's really good creature focused planeswalker in that regard. I like her abilities. I like not as opposed to Ajani where you have to like match the gems to get the things onto your creatures. They just come preloaded with like vigilance and lifelink and all that if you're using it right. So
goes in the yard, comes out of the yard, gets the things, right?
Right, yeah. Which is a play style I really like.
Yeah, which I do too. I love recursion. My counter argument to that is I for new players, if you're watching this, two cards you must have in this meta. They are the new V Tamio and V Teferi. What did I call them? Ho Daddy. Okay. Those are the two new cards in standard are Connecting the Dots and Assemble the Players. You got to go chase those cards in rare. You got to go open packs, get non-duplicate orb. You got to get duplicated orbs, and then go craft, Assemble the Players, and Connecting the Dots from MKM's rare section. Period. You have that. You've just elevated your win rates in a white-red walker ginormously. I mean, incredibly, bigly, right? As big as you want to go, you win in a red or a white walker. So with that said, Assemble the Players is actually a counterplay to this because Assemble doesn't go to the yard, it goes right to the board. I don't have to do anything. Connecting the Dots, obviously this is white, not red, goes from exile to the board. So graveyard play doesn't counter that. Now, all the cards you mentioned are good. I argue, are they more efficient than Assemble? I got to put them in the yard, get them back to hand, and then I got to cast them. And again, it's viable. It's a nice backup. It's a nice secondary way to do it. But I would just rather go dig to Assemble, put it on the board, and then I'm just throwing stuff into the yard or onto the field. So that said, I like her. I'm not bashing on her at all. I think she's really really good. For me, that third, and it's so cheap at 12. I mean, it is so
I
cheap
know
at
it
12.
is.
All her abilities are so cheap. That's a real big that's a
that's
big
another
plus.
plus. Yeah.
Um, is that I'm destroying the stuff on the yard, and unless I'm running something that has haste, there's no, and I don't know this 100%, so you guys have to fix me if I'm wrong, which is not normal, it's not unusual. Is there anything that gives creatures haste in white right now that's viable, that's good? Because
I
I
mean, my favorite card, Chroma's Memorial. I use that everywhere.
I see, but that's a masterpiece. I'm talking, for most realistic folks and the most newest set. Um, After this set gets a new, even for the big dogs, right? For like Opera Stomper and a lot of these guys and Scyther and some of these guys that play, they don't really pull or complete their collections from sets until after the next set rotates in. Right? They don't buy
Hmm.
premium packs. They just get free packs and they get whatever they get. Maybe they get lucky and pull those cards, but a
Right.
majority of those cards aren't available in the meta until after the next set drops for most, even the big
Right.
players.
Yeah.
Right?
That's why you didn't see requisition rate until after OTJ
Right.
went to
Right.
craftable.
And now it's still, for newer players or free to play players, that's not a real. Maybe they get lucky, and if you do, it's a holy grail card in standard. It's amazing. That and Chaos Warp. I prefer Chaos Warp. I think Chaos Warp's a little more control because I don't have to do the second spree,
Hmm.
where sometimes you need to get 2 matches and there's not there and you're stuck. Um,
Hmm.
but that said, without those cards, looking at it, I got Aurelia is epic in this, and she's got haste, so that works great
Hmm.
for it. But she already has flying and vigilance, so
Right.
her going to the yard and coming back in doesn't make much difference for me. The lifelink does, right? But outside of
Hmm.
that, there's no other creatures with haste, and I know there's a support that does give haste. I'm not sure if it's colorless or not. I was using it with
There's a
Calamity.
couple of equipment
The
that are
boots, the boots
colorless.
do one, yeah, like
Yeah,
from
boots.
OTJ.
No, there's a couple from back in the day, from March of Machines that are
Okay,
equipments that give you haste.
I have to evaluate that, but most of them are first creature. Oh, I got a new chair. Check out my new gaming
Yeah, it's
chair.
mostly first
Damn.
creature.
It's first creature. It's not all creatures. So that's the other side of that.
Right.
And she's normally in your first position. So if she's in your first
Hmm.
position, she already has haste. You're giving her
Mm,
haste anyway. So it
yeah,
kind of
that's a good point.
it's that clunkiness, right? That like lack of synergy
Hmm.
is the only thing that really stops me from ranking her a little bit higher. Um,
Right.
yeah, So what? So same arguments can be made though against GozMaster Flowers. So why
Mhm.
is he ranked a little bit better? For me, that first ability, I don't have to put them in the yard. They get Vigilance and Lifelink right away when I draw them, if it's a creature.
If it's a creature,
If it's a
though.
creature, I concede that. If it's a creature, it does it. Um, the third thing, though, it's way more costed. He's overcosted compared to that. His mana bonuses aren't near the same. But that third ability, just everything becomes a god. It's so
Hmm.
devastating. It's worth the extra 4 or 5 loyalty to get into because then I
Yeah.
can take the lowest common denominator of soldier tokens. I can take any token generation and I
Hmm.
just pump them up and I've got gods on my side of the field. And for a newer player, I think that's way more viable than with Archspeth. I gotta talk to my son.
Yeah,
I would
that's a
love
good
your thoughts.
idea.
Please
Or
talk.
that's a good point there. Yeah, I never. The third ability is really the reason I use Grandmaster Flowers when I am sorry, GozMaster Flowers.
Yeah, keep it on
He
brand.
yeah, because like 7/7 making a 1/1 into a 7/7 is just really strong regardless of what token you're using.
Right,
And there's just so much token generation in standard right now. It's just
right.
a lot of fun. He's like his little, like, if we're putting him in the fun category, he's way up there for me.
I think he's
um
fun and he's functional. He puts the fun in functional.
yeah.
That's my next
um
shirt, guys, that you're gonna buy.
I slightly disagree about the first ability because it's so dependent on what's coming up next in your deck. It's a great way to find new cards that you might need to set up your pieces. So it is good in that way. But if you're using it, like if you're expecting a specific outcome from it, it's a
Mhm.
little bit kind of janky in that way.
Let me throw something else out there for this. So one of the things we don't talk often enough about is deck thinning. Okay.
Hmm.
So a couple of ways to thin the top of your deck and ensure your draws are more in the category of what you're looking for are fetch effects that put stuff either in hand or on board right away. Assemble the players is a fetch effect. That thins the top of your build. It takes the next creature. It increases the odds you're not going to draw a creature. So this counterplays to that. So they don't synergize, except that's not the way I play it. Early game, if I get a creature, that lifelink and vigilance are important. Mid to late game, I don't need it. It would be nice, but it's not necessary because I already have my win conditions on board. I'm going to win.
Right.
What it does do is it ensures that whatever I am drawing with this first ability, I'm getting 7 mana to it. So if I'm needing to, if I'm getting something, if I'm getting it, it's
Streamlabs agrees.
Yeah. So whatever I'm pulling from hand or into hand is cost $7 mana less, right? Just because it gains 7 mana.
Yeah.
And then I draw another card. So I get 2 cards from that advantage.
Right.
So to me, mid to late game, that's a more, especially if I'm having conversion or if I'm doing things on board that are allowing me to do control-y things or power things or matchy things or whatever I'm doing. Usually I run Liliana the Guild Pack too. That's another one of the rares I encourage that you can pick up while you're chasing Semble and Dots. So you'll pick that up, and then Sunken Citadel, wherever you get that from. I think that's from Lost Caverns of Ixalan.
It is, yeah.
So when you have those on board, they're making those conversions, or you're running some white conversion, things are happening, so you're filling your hand up. You're casting and getting the things out that you need. So filling your hand with more cards, that card advantage is more important mid to late game than the other 2 abilities, is my preference. But again, as you play the game, new player or person who's playing the game who prefers these things, I think it's really important you focus on identifying your preferences. What do I prefer and why? Because that gives to the psychology of the win ways. Some people just find it fun to deny the other player from playing. Like, it's fun for me to not let you do anything, Greg, the DAI. Great. If that's fun, lean into that. That's not fun for me. I prefer to be more proactive in my dominance and go, establish my authority and have them, recognize that I have token gods over here. I have the Ox of Agonies over here, right? And it's a god, and it's going to go devastate you. And it's a lot of fun for me to go do that in a, phenomenal cosmic power itty bitty living space game. So, but when we identify our tendencies, then we're able to figure out why we prefer these things. And oftentimes we'll figure out, there's a lot of times I'll look at my gameplay style and say, oh, that's actually not very good. I just prefer that. That's actually not a good thing for another player to do.
Right.
But it's hard arguing with a big old stack of gods. I don't know. Call me crazy. All right. Anyways, any other thoughts on GMF?
I think you kind of underrated his second ability a little bit. It's definitely saved me a few times, disabling like a Vindicator or something like that, or a Rakdos to just make sure I can get all my pieces set up. But other than that,
what was my challenge with it? I think it was that it only targets certain ones. I gave it a lower score than so anything with double strike or vigilance. So I can't target Phyrexian Vindicator. It's got vigilance.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
When this card's level is increased, reinforce this creature, then disable target opposing creature without double strike, first strike, or vigilance. So if Daneth is on that side, I can't get her. If Phyrexian Vindicator's right, like again, the problem kids, Rakdos I can get, Cityscape Leveler I can get, all the other ones, but I don't know what it is. I'm weak to Phyrexian Vindicator in my builds. My first passes, I normally fix it. Again, requisition rate, blah, blah, blah. I'm talking my peasant stuff or my low caliber stuff.
That's a good point.
But that card is such a pain in the tail because it's flying and it gets everything. There's no way of avoiding it. You got to get rid of it and deal with it or disable it. Blue, I have a ton of different options. In white, you just have to have exile or some type of removal or disable in hand.
Yeah.
And he won't. If he did that, I would have ranked it higher. I would have give it a B- or even maybe a flat B. But because of Phyrexian Vindicator, I had to give it a lower score.
Fair.
Yeah, just gives Vital Can't Block. Okay, cool. I'm trying to look at some of the other cards I play with him. Healer of the Pride. Healer of the Pride is just... I'm ranking... I've been thinking about this lately. So, rarities, common, uncommon, rare, mythic, masterpiece. In a standard set, is less rare. A masterpiece in a standard set is less rare than a mythic in a PM2 or PMA
Yeah.
And even Vanguards,
Mm-hmm.
because you can only get them from the elite collections, and maybe especially the rare ones. The mythic ones, yeah, you can go get, but the rare ones, you may never pull them, right? So when I'm
That's
doing my
crazy.
peasant builds, I know. So when I'm doing my mythic or my peasant builds, I hadn't thought of that before. Oh, Tyvar's Vanguard, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a great card. Everybody should have it. Fantastic. You should go chase it down. It's fantastic. Who's going to do
Mm-hmm.
that? Who has it? Because it gives tokens haste too, and I'm always like, oh yeah, no, that card's too powerful for me to say that's a peasant card. It's not. It's a mythic level card,
Mm-hmm.
right? Even though it's a rare,
Makes
it's
sense. Yeah.
it's
No, I
literally
know. I get
one
what
of the
you're
rarest
saying. Yeah.
cards, right? So for me, when I look at this and I say, all right, I'm gonna face Phyrexian Vindicator, I'm gonna face all these other things that I'm gonna face. I think Grandmaster Flowers does a great job of dealing with most of it. White does a lot of great things for doing it. And to answer the question, in my universe, GozMaster Flowers is better than Elspeth. And again, that might be a preference. Are either of them wrong? No, we're talking about a difference between a B plus B minus to a B plus to a C plus. So easily one little thing could flip that thing around and it would have been Archangel. That's how close this rankings were, right? That's how close these
Yeah.
rankings were.
No, it's true.
And I have a whole algorithmic thing. It is based on my preference, but I weight it in the peasant builds and the fighting of the meta, what's available to them, the ease of getting those cards, and then what was necessary to make that creature or that planeswalker work, right? So that's why I ranked them the way I did. And there is still some bias in there. Obviously, I can't eliminate it completely because it's still what I feel is best, both for me and for newer players. And then veterans, yeah, I like this better. That's a preference thing. Don't confuse the sizzle from the steak, man. You can make a steak one of four ways: rare, well, medium well, right? Medium, whatever those are, and then you're an a-hole. Don't burn the steak, right? Been a lot of a-holes lately. There's no arguing what that is, right? But how I flavor the steak, I love A1 bold and spicy sauce. I love that on my steak. I like I won't go to the finest restaurants because I make a better ribeye at home, but I will put that on my steak. So that's flavor. That's your preference. That's your taste. Okay? But the actual function of the steak, that's where I'm trying to get as close to the power of these as we go along. Liliana the Veil in the ninth slot. Nalthazar has her as number 1. What are your thoughts on
Number
that?
one?
He has her number 1. I watched that as I went to bed when he released it that night, and the last words I heard is Liliana the Veil is the number 1.
Oh, I didn't even. I don't think
Yeah.
I need to go back and actually watch the whole thing. But
I hate this Walker. That said,
no,
personal
I mean,
bias
yeah,
aside,
there's a
don't be
lot
worried
of
about it.
things like I hated her when she was dominating everything. I wanted them to nerf her. It never happened. I mean, the meta's kind of sorted itself out a little bit,
Yeah.
in that she's not as difficult to face anymore. But she's just, I don't know, man. She's just not that fun to play. She's not very good for hitting objectives and things like that because you're either going to win, like she's too unpredictable. Like you're either going to win too fast or you're going to just be sweating the whole time because you're going to be losing life as you're trying to hit these objectives. Like
Yeah.
there's no nuance to her really. She just does that one thing. She does it really well, but I don't understand how he controls the matches with her because she's just not good at that. And
Well, Black
like
is
for
so
any,
strong right now. I don't think that I think she's in a stronger place than she was before, right? She's still in my top 10. I don't
sure,
like her. I don't like playing with her. I don't feel
yeah,
like similar to Chronoclast. I don't feel in control of when I'm running the match. There's nothing I can do on my side at times. I've just got to
mm,
I'm privy to the build of their deck for the results that I get. Did I hit a creature? Did I hit a not creature? What's converting on board? Does it make a match? Do the attrition of the matching of my own supports that makes
mm-hmm.
the impact of the death I'm dealing lower and lower until eventually it's non-existent, and then I've got to go build my board presence again. Now, again, all I have to do is get my next turn, and I'm going to go into my third, and I'm going to wipe their side. It's that third is dom. Did I give it as an S? Because it should be an S as I'm sitting here looking at it.
Probably. I mean, I've lost so many
I gave it an A plus.
to
It
her.
really should be an S as I think about it because
Yeah.
just the ability to destroy everything. Well, actually, no. This is a proper ranking. And the reason is because it's not destroy all things, it's destroy 4 things, not all
Yeah.
things. And Greg can, with Galta, put 18 things on the board in one swipe of one swap. So That's what kept it limited to an A+. Really good, still not great. Now, if you're in control, it doesn't matter. It's just win more, right, at that stage. But if I'm behind, that's kind of what I look at it. Can this save my tail at 25 freaking loyalty? Right, that's the other thing that goes into it. It's great.
Yeah.
You're paying for it's a fair cost for everything you're getting at 25 loyalty.
Yeah.
If it were 18,
It costs
dude,
more
broken.
if you ask me.
Yeah. They should have charged $50 for this planeswalker in the deal. And the only Lily fans, are there any Liliana fans here? Why do you love her so much?
I'm sure there are a ton of them, but I don't know. They're not going to convince me otherwise.
Her life total is a little too low for me, and her mana bonuses are just jank. And this is the only thing I'm going to say, but I want you to speak on it the rest of the time. I said before I gave her a low grade on her mana bonuses. I think what she should be is a 5, and I'm glad she's not a 5.
Yeah,
black,
exactly.
Because if she was a 5 in black, more people would play her, and I would hate this game. I would hate having to face her all the time.
Yeah.
I would just run stuff that just destroys her.
Exactly.
Elia's ability is also excludes vanguards. Yeah, and her abilities don't include vanguards, so they don't trigger and hit vanguards, which are more prevalent now, which might be part of the reason why we're not seeing her as much. But I still see her quite a bit. I still see, especially mono black stuff, right?
Yeah, I still see her a decent amount. Yeah. It's just really unfun to face her. I don't get a lot out of playing her. Like I said, like I can win with her really easily. She destroys things in like with the right cards, but I mean, I have plenty of other walkers who do that in a more fun way for me. So yeah. I don't know, maybe this is just like a preference thing, but I just don't find her to be that good for anything outside of a few different events because of her kit. Just the unpredictability of like what happens when you use her stuff, it just makes her hard to rely on for getting like hitting certain objectives. Like she's not good for control like Teferi is, like, because I have a lot more control with Teferi than I do with her. Yeah. So I mean, that's kind of what it comes down to for me. Like, what am I using her for, and is she the best at that job? And she's usually not, at least for me.
I don't know that I have any objectives I find she's useful for. What objectives do you use her for?
Because it's not stuff where I'm putting things into my opponent's graveyard, like, because the rest of my kit is doing that for me, and then it's just taking advantage of that. But like I said, I'm not making a big case for her.
Like, well, no, I even then, like, I find no use for her at all, like none. Mm-hmm. She doesn't win fast enough for quick battles. I mean, if I enjoyed the playstyle and it was fun, then I could see that. Even Chronoclast, like, I argue I can do what he does for time's sakes a couple of different ways, right? But at least I see, like you say, I use him for my X or more turn objective. Okay, I can see that. Mm-hmm. I don't see anything for her. Like, take X or more damage. Life loss doesn't count because you get that life back. Side note comment, one of the things I said in my review of her is like, I don't like that because then I got to go use my potions, and somebody aptly pointed out, hey, dumbass, no, you don't. Life loss doesn't count as permanent life. As soon as the match ends, you get all that life back. You're right, I forgot. But still, it's one of those things where I just don't, I guess what it is like, I look at her life total now at 108, and with all the damage you're taking, all the life you're losing, I should say, from activating her ability, you're really at about a 90. I think her life total is actually worse than Sorin Grim Nemesis during the time you're doing stuff. And you have to be gaining life in some way, which isn't built into what she's doing, because she loses a lot of life. There's a new spell card now that gives a creature lifelink, which is great. I love that card. It's a pauper card. Peasant, I think, is uncommon or common. And it's a great card. Great card.
Scales of Shale, is that what you're talking about?
Scales. Great card.
It's a
love
common.
That card.
Yeah,
great card. So I use that in the builds now, and that kind of offsets it. But it's still one of those things where it's like, and I just don't get it. And then, and my final point on this is that I've said my second final point. I feel like I struggle to get her to do the things. I never see Greg struggle to do the things. He cascades in such a goofy way that he just is ramping into that second and third. That second at 19 is such a hill to climb early game. And Black has enough removal. I know. But my argument there is, if I'm going to build with that much removal, I could play any walker and still get that same effect and results in win. And I argue there's other better win cons that I could do it with in mono black, but whatever. I hate that you need lifelink with her to survive until you can get to her A2. Yeah, I mean, that's the big downside for me. Veil token and breaches. Yeah, Chef's Kiss. Again, all the things that put stuff in the yard. I guess that's the counter build to me here. I want to lean into her third. I do. And I've built a deck for her that is so disgusting, I won't even share it with you guys because it's disgusting. Oh, God, it's gross. But it doesn't work because something's bugging. I'm not going to bother them to fix it because I don't want to see this in the meta because it would be disgusting. It's disgusting. But what I've noticed is that I'm building for discard because I want to ramp to her third. But I can't because I have to protect enough in early game in order to get her there. And then what winds up happening is I have this, it's not a very balancing, I wind up drawing into cards I can't use in that time because I've controlled the board enough that I'm just drawing dead cards, or they don't have enough cards in hand that I can get them to discard, so I got to attack top of library kind of stuff, and it's like, okay, it just feels like there's 3 or 4 different things that need to be done, and this is me, this is an admission to me, hi, my name is Goz, hi Goz, I haven't built the right synergized build for her yet that makes me feel, oh, that's it. And it just feels that I'm fighting myself in all of the builds that I'm working with her. So if you have
I've tried so many different builds with her, and they all kind of the same. Like there's just stronger versions of them, but
yeah,
she kind of just does one thing. And if you're into that thing, then fine, knock yourself out. I'm just not.
Yeah, I can't stand it. But if you have a build that you feel is so synergy, that is one of my biggest things. Things that work well together. No wasted movement. In Kung Fu, they say you don't draw back to punch, right? It's just wow, you just shell out. You just strike, right? That's the maximizing of energy optimization. That's what you do. And I play the same way. I like things to just this leans into that and that leans into this and everything works together and there's no dead cards in hand and I'm not wasting mana and everything just works well in a synergized ballet of death. Not hard to ask for. It's not much, but it's a good living, right? Anyways, that's an avail talk. We spent too much time on that.
Yes, sure is.
Red Walker, Chandra's Hope Beacon versus Ballard. Any thoughts there?
I'm not that big of a Ballard fan. I've tried her recently and I just think the new Chandras are a lot better than her
most
better. Of the time.
But Ballard is great.
Beacon is good though.
Ballard is great. There's not enough red spells for her to be full power.
Exactly. Well, that's the thing. She's so dependent. I mean, that's kind of the issue with all of these red spell slinger types that they're just not good like spell slinger type of cards like we used to have in standard right now. The meta is very I don't know, creature focused right now.
Yes.
Everybody's running big creatures.
Galta. Wait, Galta. Galta is the meta. Stop arguing. Stop fighting. Stop this. Galta is the queen of the hill. Bow down to your scaly overlord and be grateful for the death she brings you. Galta. There's a reason I sang a song about her. She's freaking amazing. Anyway, sorry. You were saying?
I forgot.
I'm sorry. But you were saying creatures are the meta. Creatures are the meta.
Yeah, creatures are the meta. So there aren't back in the day when you can build things that you could just easily destroy your opponent by casting a bunch of spells and copying them. I mean, Rawl can still do that because he's Rawl, but everybody else, it's really dependent on what cards you can cast in standard right now.
Yeah.
And, I just think that she's not the best option for those kinds of things. I mean, I guess if you have to play a mono Red Walker for whatever reason, I don't know.
Well, it goes back to what I said before. I don't think mono red's in a good spot. I think it's very weak. It has 3 of the most powerful cards in standard right now, and then it's the fall off from those top 3 it's so stark. They're good role players. They're good synergy finding cards within it. There's a lot of good nuances, but the Walker has to lean into that. And for Jaya, who may even be below the top 10, it might just be Chandra Hope's Beacon. Chandra Hope's Beacon is good. She leans into creatures. She gets more than enough mana from her conversions with her first and her passive. Just like I said in the video, if you guys don't have her, and I understand she's not on sale now, and maybe you didn't pick her up for cash, but when she's available for gold, I think as far as mono red is concerned, she's the best of mono red. That doesn't mean mono red is still worth getting because the meta is not strong enough to support it. It's fun, but it's not. It's Dragonhawk, and if you're gonna go run Dragonhawk, you might as well go run that in Calemny or in Quintorius. Yeah, and then just go. There's no reason to run a mono red walker right now. So really, that should be kind of the discussion I had on there. But I'm saying it now. Master of Time. Any disagreements with Master of Time being this high?
He's a guy that I don't. Sometimes I forget I even own, but I honestly think he might be the most underrated mono walker right now. That third ability is really good. Like, I forget how good that third ability is sometimes.
It's game over. You get to that third, you have all the swap you need. Like there's no argument for any other except for one mono blue walker that even comes close to that ability. It's like, even if the first and second sucked, whatever. I got 3 swaps a turn.
Yeah, I never use the first and second. Well, maybe the first sometimes after I've hit the third, but right. Yeah.
And that's what I said in the video too. Is like you use your first and your second after you have your third on board. Just do not pass go directly to third, right? Just do it. And then you go from there. So Master of Time is phenomenal. And I've used him in my Omni builds too. He can run an Omni build because of his deck slots, close to it anyways. So actually, can he? Oh, I'm sorry. Now I forgot. I needed to pay attention to the deck slots on that. No, he can't. He can run close. He can run 1 support, and then you got to run 2 creatures. So
6, 7, 6. It's not terrible, but not optimal.
It needs 1 more spell at least to be viable as an Omni run. But and again, solid, well-rounded deck slots, especially mono blue. I'd love the option to play 1 more spell. I'd love it to be 9 spells. I think he would be honestly. I think he would be broken if he had 9 spells, because then it would be just Omni loops for days. Yeah, that's all you would do.
Right, wizard class or whatever.
He's great. He is fantastic. Mana spread is just good enough, right? That it's just good enough that even without Citadel, I still can get what I need. But if I have Citadel, it's
for the most part, 6, I wish it did have like just 1 more on blue or something like that.
Yeah. I think that's always my preference. Is no matter what, I would rather you give me a -2 to a red and a green, and give me a +5 at blue. Just because that's what you're supposed to do. That's what they are. But
right.
If you look at the lore side, which I'm goofy and I do look at, he is pretty lawful. So it makes sense that he has some white counterbalance. I don't know, whatever. And he does have a lot of blue-white builds and other walkers, obviously Hero of Dominaria, etc., etc. So it makes sense. But he is mono blue. So if you're going to do that, give him the blue bonus. All right. Any arguments in the chat about Teferi, Master of Time? Because I will fight you. I argue he could probably be even higher. He probably should be higher than Lolth Spider Queen, but I like Spider Queen.
That's kind of an interesting thing somebody said in the chat. If she's so bad at hitting objectives like you mentioned, why would that disgusting deck that you built end up in the meta? Maybe in training grounds, but those are matches.
No, it's not that. It's it doesn't work. If it worked, it would be like all over like everywhere. And now I will tell you this: I tested it before the rotation. So I haven't tested it since because I was so disgusted then. I think it's working now, and I don't want to put it out there. But I will go figure it out and see if it's it. Now the thing is, it lost a couple of key cards in standard rotation, so that's also the thing. So I'd have to go find replacements for it, and I haven't seen anything that made me think, oh, I got to go back and revisit that and see if that works. The other side of that too is I really don't enjoy playing her, and I don't want to see that out there. And I might, if you guys want to see it, I can show it, but I'm not interested in playing her at all. But for Lolth Spider Queen, what are your initial thoughts? What's your hot take here?
I'm surprised you have her up so high. I mean, she's fun. But
player with the builds I played her with. She's insane.
But I mean, she kind of has the same issues in some way that Liliana has, where you're constantly losing a bunch of life all the time. She's kind of more of like a flavor type of walker for me. Like I have fun with certain things, like just goofing around with her, but using her for anything like that actually matters, I just don't see it.
Okay, so my mythic build: Breach the Multiverse, Gitrog, okay, Necromancy, Sunken Citadel, Tyvar, of course, for speed, Demolition Field, because Mystical Teachings, right? Tribute to Hunger.
Such a good card.
The Master of Keys. And Blasphemous Edict. That's
but what about all like that build? Looks like you could run it in. You can run it in
anything. Why does it work better with Lolth than it does like Liliana, for example?
Enlighten me.
The creature tokens, the spider tokens. I'm
Okay.
sacking everything with Gitrog, and I'm making those spider tokens buffier. So that when
Okay.
something comes across it, I get them bigger and bigger, and I can just go swing for game with them. So it actually surprisingly synergizes with the tokens and the Dryder and everything else. So eventually I
Okay,
only
I can
have
see that.
Gitrog there. So that additionally, Master of Keys is probably a flex card. I might just take that out. Now I have enough removal in
Hmm.
here that I might try to figure out some other way of Steal Your Girl kind of thing to throw it in here, and I think that would be more viable. So I can get that fourth
Mm.
creature on my side, sack that, and continue to do the
Oh,
things.
does it? What does it trigger off of? Is it power or toughness
For what?
for her third ability to make the spiders huge? Like, is it
It is so blah blah
creature's
blah.
toughness? Oh shoot,
The
I was
toughness.
gonna suggest Myojin of Night's Reach, but that only has 3 toughness.
Right,
Because
right.
that's an awesome card to snag and sack, or
Yeah,
just sack.
yeah, to use. And that's the other thing too is I haven't played around with a build enough, but I think there's enough black fun that I can go mess with it. Now that's my mythic build. I'll tell you that's not the one I prefer playing with. The one I play with is the peasant build, which is Archpriest of
Hmm.
the Shadows. And then I
Okay.
use Husk Buster Swarm. While in your hand, this card
Oh
costs X less to cast. X is the number of cards in your graveyard. So
yeah,
basically a 6/6
that's
body
a
for free.
that's a solid little peasant or a popper card actually.
Yeah.
I like that one.
Live or Die is fantastic. Zombify,
Mm-hmm.
what is it? Lively Dirge, Sunbird
Okay.
Standard for
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Cracked Skull, Chef's Kiss. Because if
I
they
love
get
that
something,
card.
I'm ditching cards out of your hand. I'm putting a defensive token on the board. You hit me, cool. It's like a mini. What was that? The Pharaoh card where you attack me and hit me, you destroyed your creatures, but that didn't go away.
No mercy.
No mercy. Yeah. Grasping Shadows is I don't actually that's not the one I'm gonna put in. I'm gonna put in that one from PM2, the one you said, oh, you need this for reoccurring. It gives you all your loyalty. Blah blah blah.
Oh, Ripples of Undeath.
Ripples of
Is that?
Undead. I got to throw that in there
That's
because
an
that's
all-star card.
yeah
That should be in
that's still a
everybody's
mythic power
mono black.
card. But I just pulled it. I just got it.
Yeah. Oh,
So
okay. Oh,
and
you're gonna love it.
I've been buying like crazy in PM2 and I finally got it. So and then permanents galore. Archpriest of the Druid or Archpriest of the Shadows just is bringing everything from the yard. That playstyle works really well. And then if I'm cycling through the creatures I'm killing and I'm drawing in those creatures that cost nothing, I put them on the board and kill them. Those spider tokens just gather and gather, and it's just so much fun. And then when you have your third, they have double strike, right? Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Something gives them double strike. I forgot where. So then
Just triggering the third ability gives your creatures double strike and death touch, is it?
yes. So
Yeah.
when they have that, the spiders with reach are just taking anything that doesn't have prevent damage. Everything else is dying as long as they don't have first strike or whatever. And even then, they're big
Hmm.
enough by that point that it doesn't matter. And if they do die, no big deal. I'm going to kill another creature. I'm going to get another one. I love it. It's so much synergy. It's so fun.
Yeah.
Give it a
I need
whirl,
to try them
guys.
with Gitrog. That sounds fun. I've been doing like very much like insect tribal decks,
Yeah.
using Guillaume to build up and Sword of the Squeak. Good card with
Yeah.
her. I don't know if
Yeah.
you use her, but yeah,
I've
use
played it
it.
enough, but there's so much pump and other things that are out there that I haven't really had a need to use it as much. I can't justify the space in the deck compared
Sure,
to
that's fair.
removal and some of the other stuff. It's like I can and if it's 1 for 1. If it raised base power, I'm all in.
Hmm.
But the addition level of base of power pump is too slow for me. You know me. I like to go fast.
Yeah, fair
So
enough.
this is why Lolth to me, I think again in today's meta with all the creatures that are available to her in mono black, I think she has an incredible amount of flexibility in play, and I don't have Gitrog Goss. There's a ton of creatures that give you the option to May destroy creature,
Hmm.
and there's like 3 or 4 of them
I
right
think
now
there's like
in
a new
standard.
uncommon that will do that in
Yeah,
foundations
for
even.
sure, for sure. And as a result, it gives you an opportunity to go do all kinds of different things with it that you want to. I adore her, and I think if you have her and you haven't messed with her in a bit, go dust her off and give her another run through. You might find that you enjoy that out. Now that's creature play,
Yeah, I
right?
agree.
I like creature play. So if you're like, oh, I hate playing creatures, I love creatureless builds too. But she's a lot of fun.
Hmm.
I enjoy her a lot. All right. Any arguments against Liliana in the Dark Realms here? In fact, or is your argument she should be higher? Because I could see an argument for her being higher.
That's a good question. I mean, no, I think you have her pretty much there,
I
where
think it's
she
a
needs
fair
to be.
spot. Yeah, I think it's a
Yeah,
fair
I
spot.
think so. I think you could argue one way or the other, like if she can be, but no, I'm in agreement here. Her abilities are awesome.
15 loyalty for you go to hell and die in 2 pumps. So 30 loyalty really. And then you want control? How about you get nothing? You get absolutely nothing forever. And I can take all the time I need. Doesn't even matter. I don't have to play a card. And ramp into loyalty and just wait until after X number of turns and then start playing my cards and my win cons to go win. She is
Ripples of Undeath is going to get you there even faster now.
I know. I will say this. Shout out to Webcore for making it clever enough in her monoramps and gains that it was by 4s and you needed to get to 12. So that if I'm playing Sunken Citadel, it doesn't give it enough of a trigger.
Yeah.
Well done.
I think they did that on purpose.
That was definitely by design. That was really well done. Really well done. So shout out to the
you son of a gun. That was the first thing I thought of when they.
All right. I'm sure they're at a point now like, okay, we're developing this. How are Goz and Maynard going to try to break this day one?
Exactly.
And they still don't do it right. We still find ways to break it. But yeah, this walker absolutely. Black gets any stronger, and I throw her as an S tier walker. And in fact, the more I convince myself, the more I talk about her, the more I play with her, the more and more I just might throw her as an S tier walker. She is that strong, guys. I would take her over Realmbreaker. I would take her over. Again, I say that with Galta. Galta is the definer, but no Galta. How much lower would these green walkers be? I think they'd be a lot lower.
True.
They'd be a lot lower. They'd still be in the top 10, but they wouldn't be as high. Would they be better than Lolth? Maybe. We'll see.
Probably.
I'll have to play with them at that time when it's a reality. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, and these last ones, Jace Reawakened is an S tier. Garrick might be the most controversial pick here between those two. Garrick for me is an S tier simply because of what's available to him in standard. That's the only reason he's this high. Realmbreaker is late game. It takes, somebody was saying this earlier, like how in the world is him? Galta, I don't need trickery. I don't need setup. I don't need free stuff later. I just need a 60-60 body on board that I'm swinging by turn 2 or 3. Good game, dude. Good game. What else? What do you got?
Yeah, I don't know if I would put him up that high just because like the way that I like to play and set up, I like all the options that even like Ren and 7 gives you for getting the pieces into your hand a little better. You can still, figure out ways to bring stuff into your hand. I mean, green has so much creature fetch that it's not that big a deal.
Yeah,
he does take a little bit of like if you want to just dominate really quickly, he does take a little bit of setting up the right deck for that, because you still need to get to his abilities fast in order to win faster than Ren and Realmbreaker, in my opinion. So there is a bit of you build for Garrick and Ren and Realmbreaker completely differently. Correct. In my opinion.
Correct.
He's like for green aggro, he's by far the best to me. Ren and Realmbreaker, actually maybe not by far. Ren and Realmbreaker you can do a lot with as far as that goes too, but Ren and Realmbreaker takes a little bit more finesse to actually do the same things that Gar can do. I would say that it's probably a little bit more complexity to Ren and Realmbreaker, but if you're just like out to beat face and just smash things, Garrick Unleashed is your dude. I use Garrick Unleashed a lot aggro for quick battle,
right?
Just getting through really quickly because that's what he's good at. So
that's what he does.
He's the best at it.
The only thing he does, and again, the only reason he's even at that scale is because of what's in meta right now. Galta, because everybody should have Galta, right? Like just go chase it. You got to have it. And everybody does have Galta that is playing seriously.
If you can get temp with discovery, that's key.
Yeah, if you can pull that, great. But again, not needed. right? You can use the Genesis, the new Genesis one that costs like 20 something mana. It's overcosted.
Oh,
To
I
go
still
fetch a
don't
card,
have
put it
that
on
one.
board.
Maybe
Yeah.
that's
Oh,
why I
really?
forget.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
one's a good one. But that puts another Galta on board, and then you ramp to his third, and then you can go pull Galta from you. If let's say Galta's all you got, and some all other janky cards that are enablers. Okay, then you go get your third on board, and you're just pulling a Galta every single turn, and then
Yeah.
you play your second because you're ramping into your second on that second turn, right?
Yeah.
You're getting enough conversion. You're going to have your second. Pump it up, homeboy. Just don't stop, because when you're dead, you'll know life is Galta.
Yeah.
That's just again very specific. He does that one thing, and he does it so damn good. Like, you say setup, and I'm gonna go pull this, and I like having all my pieces, but like, yeah, I win. Like, he just wins. If you face
Right.
him, and we know that Greg prioritizes creatures, and he's Galt in hand, he's just gonna go destroy you, right? He's going to go get that out. When he does, that enables all the rest of the cards that are in hand, and he'll prioritize supports. And if it's a good build, right, like if someone's running mono green Garrick, they have the cards to go execute for the most part, I'm assuming. Even if it's
Right.
basic cards, there's enough good cards in green that you're going to do well. But let's say they're an ace player. If I see a name across like Maynard's or whoever's, I'm like, oh crap, they got all the cards. I'm expecting Hall of Gemstones. I'm expecting Sylvan Tutor. I'm expecting all the other little things, and Railway Brawler. So never mind Galta being a devastating beast all on her own. You get Railway Brawler out, then you start doing all your other things that go along with it. It's literally 2 turns, dude, and I have 100, 200 power swinging for Dome. Now, will Greg execute it that well? No, Greg's an idiot. He's going to probably pull the wrong creature. He's going to do the wrong thing.
Right. He's going to use the wrong abilities. He's going to spam the first
right,
a lot of time.
Exactly. And as a result of that, you're probably not going to be afraid of him. He's not going to use it in the right order. So when you face it, you'll discount it because it's not that big a deal, and that's fine. But as a player, someone who's going out there and using it, I there's no comparison in my thoughts right now in him and Realmbreaker, just because of what he has available to him. Now, you could argue she could run the same exact build, but she's not pumping him or Galta 3x with her second ability. She's getting that cool. Yeah. She's doing it with her third, and she's doing it after turn 5 or 7 or whatever it is, and it's good and it's devastating. Oh my gosh, it's so powerful. Again, I'm saying turn 2 or 3, I'm doing the same exact thing with Garrick because he's not fancy about it. He's just pulling his axe out and taking your head off, and that's all he does.
Yeah, Red and Realmbreaker is a little bit more dependent on playing the right cards at the right time. That's what I mean. You need finesse a little bit. Right. Yeah, like Gather the Pack is definitely going to be a good card to use for her, but you have to draw into that and use it first before like her third ability is going to do the same thing that Garrick's third is going to do without even having to play that card, basically.
Right. And his is only one. He's a one-off, right? You get one on the board, but okay.
Yeah.
I get any one I want, and that one that I'm going to pick typically, right, is going to fill my
the ability to choose the creature you're gonna get is a lot more predictable, and like I said before, I like predictability in my matches.
You know, my favorite thing to do is Galta Gitrog. Galta enters board, gives me all the mana. Gitrog to kill her and give me more mana.
Yeah.
And then my Railway Brawler is my win con.
Yeah, that combo is so annoying to face because Greg it's idiot proof, so Greg can totally just use that ability, and Greg does that by default, and it's
he's gonna hit the Railway Brawler, but okay, then if he doesn't, as long as the Gitrog doesn't hit itself, it's still devastating enough.
Exactly.
That the rest of the cards are gonna cast. That's the thing. Is that
exactly
even cards he doesn't prioritize that he puts at the bottom, they're going to get filled with mana. That's my counterpoint to everybody. You know, again, I keep bringing it up, so I should probably stop bringing it up because nobody's really talking about it anymore about nerfing Grist. But it's like it's just green in general, man. Every green walker in the game is OP because Galta can do it all, and I don't want to see her nerf. I like where it is, but in another month, another 2, we're gonna have the biggest lull right now between sets unless Webcore comes out and drops something unexpected. So it's gonna be like February, I think, before we get the next set. So we got like 3 or 4 months of just swimming in the Galtas, right? And as that happens, it might be by the end of okay. I think we're done. I think we need to, call out to say let's change the meta up a bit because it's not It's the most easy thing that anybody can do right now. Most finesse. Okay,
sure.
so someone said something I want to talk about. SVGF. I don't know who that is. What's your gamer name, man? Ren and Realmbreaker. Realmbreaker is the most brain dead planeswalker I have. Okay, so and then he says mill stuff, or they say mill
What does
stuff,
that mean?
play lands, get to the third, smash, right? But look at the way you said that. You have to mill stuff, play lands, and get to your third. That requires something. It's brain dead now because you've played it enough and you got it to that point. I'm not arguing with you. I'm not telling you you're wrong. You're right. That's what's fun for you. Do it, man. Go to.
Yeah, no, it totally works.
Oh, it's Ceramus. What's up, Ceramus?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So yeah, no, I understand that. You also have a level of play because you're a awesome player, much better than I am. Like, I'm happy to admit I suck at playing this game. I play this game in a very specific way. You guys are all smarter than me. I'm not arguing that. You guys are much smarter than me. What I will say is this: is that what I do real well is look at the psychology behind the way a person plays and what motivates a person to do a certain thing, to buy a product, to use a thing. Like that's where I specialize. It's my
like
business.
Your job, yeah.
Yeah, it's what I do. So I'm always very curious as to not what you picked, but why you picked it. Okay. And I challenge you guys to evaluate your play styles. Why do I like that? Why is that fun to me? And when you do that, you're going to be able to identify other cards that do that. That'll help you have more fun in the game, but it'll also help you identify where your blind spots are and say, hey, when I'm complaining about a thing, for example, I don't like this. Do you not like this because it's bad for the game, or it's bad because it's bad for your play style or your preferences?
Right.
And there's a difference. There are some times where I made a suggestion to Webcore and they were laughing at me, and all these guys are like, dude, why do you want everything so broken in the game? I was advocating for Moxes and certain mana fields to have evergreen mana field ability, so you can match them as many times as you wanted and trigger the ability every single time. And everybody laughed me out of the room. And I'm like, don't do it with all the cards. Don't do it with like the extra swap cards, that kind of stuff. That's broken. But if you did it with things that have moderate effects, like research, wild research, I think that's the name.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
That card was broken. They fixed it. It sucked, and it's broken again. And I hope they don't fix it because it has evergreen mana field.
Yeah.
So when you match near it, you ditch a card, you draw a card, you get the mana from it. It's not
the only reason it's worth playing.
It's the only reason it's worth playing. But now the other stuff is good when you can do it multiple times in a turn, right?
Yeah.
Because if I have to wait to do once every turn and have to feed the yard to get that adventure or that spell impact mana gain to my hand, that's 12th, 13th, 15th, 30th turn. Woohoo! There's much more efficient, effective ways of doing that than that.
Totally.
Tempt with Discovery. I mean, just tempt with Discovery is all. Golta is all, right? In green.
Right.
And blue, what do we have? Steam Core Scholar getting all free mana, right? Or the walkers themselves. So what is your preference? Why do you choose that? And then lean into that. I mean, if you built it with that in mind, all your cards do that. Yeah, for sure. But again, for a newer player, I advocate, I don't have to think much about it. I just put big creatures in, make loyalty matches, get to my third, and I got big boy on board. That's it. Like I don't need to build. I don't need to add anything else. Another thing too, final thing I'll say here, because I know we've been on here almost 2 hours, dude. Final thing I'll say about this is this: go play your favorite walkers. Go play with just 1 or 2 rare cards. Go play with all common and uncommon cards, and go play against a PVE event and see how far your walker takes you. See how far. Match 1, dominate. Match 2, cool. Match 3, that was tougher. Match 4, you're starting to lose. There are very few walkers on their own that you can take and run the gambit on a PVE event with like 500 health on their final boss, that you can run jank basic cards, unmastered cards if you want to. I do this all the time with walkers, and that is one of the best gauges for me as to which walkers are strong and which ones are okay, and which ones are card dependent. And if you do that and you say Realmbreaker is that good with just jank cards, great. I know Garrick can do it because I've done it with him to go get big bodies on board and just swing for game. It's just the way he is. So, and when you have the bodies that he's able to choose from now that are even moderate, they're not even the top cards in the game, bro, come on. He's a powerhouse. Jace Reawakened is an S tier, my favorite mono walker in the game. I love that guy. I mean, it's not even close. Him and Lil X are just so much fun for me to play. So much fun for me to play.
Everything about his kit is good. It's like this.
There's nothing bad about him.
Even his
actually,
Even his life total is better than the other Jaces.
Right, right, and it's good. The only thing I will say is not optimal, and maybe it's just me asking for, hey Santa, I wanted a new jet ski too. Where's my ocean to go with my new jet ski? Psychic Manipulation, the first one, should draw you a card. It should replace the card.
Oh yeah,
discarding.
It's
That's
like the one thing
it's the only knock.
This is us balancing this walker.
It actually is a pretty fair balance, in my opinion.
It actually is, though.
Because
I'm saying as a joke, but it is true.
If you're late game, right, and you want to cast this card, but I want to get mana to it, I can't replace it with another card and do that. It just doesn't work. It ditches a card and doesn't help me anymore. So
yeah, I said this in the review too, that's like, because I do the little pros and cons thing. The main con that I had with them is that you need to build in card draw. He's like, I think he might be the only Jace that doesn't have like built-in card advantage in that way.
The one that gets you the +4s to your stuff doesn't have it built in either. Oh no, he does. Yeah, I think they all do have some draw. Even Teferi's all pretty much have some draw too.
Yeah,
and
so.
It's for good reason. It's because I'll blame the Ashiok side of stuff for that.
There you go.
Yeah, his mana bonuses are a little bit on the lighter side. I would have rather seen them high, but actually that's not true. Disregard. What am I talking about?
Yeah.
No, he gets +7 in blue.
Yeah.
Just by turn 3, you've got +7 to blue, +2 to white, +3 to black, +1 to... Oh my god, he's such a... Just a powerhouse.
And then after that, he's raising the cost of cards. And if you're not paying attention to that, all of a sudden you have a card in the bottom of your hand that you want to cast, but it's like 28 mana to cast. What the hell happened?
Exactly. It is such a good... He's such a great Planeswalker. I mean, this is one of those ones where I could look at people saying power creep is real. I'm like, yeah, this Jace is power crapped. And I love everything about him. And there's not enough removal in blue, but there's enough bounce in blue, and there's enough control in blue that I can take their stuff and do stuff with it. That there's just so much versatility in this Walker that only Master of Time is the only other one that I look at and say, okay, I can take all the swaps I want and do all the things. That's deck build. But just kit v kit with jank cards, 45 to your face for 17 loyalty. I will wreck you. The deck, I don't even think I put out my video for this because I didn't have time to edit it before it left the vault.
Okay.
But I built a deck that was all just deny. That was just, not deny, but all pauper, drain mana. It was all mana drain.
Okay.
And I just ramped to my third, and I just 45'd them to death over and over again. No truer words were ever said. 45 to death. Okay, so that said, all right, don't take that the wrong. I'm just making a joke. All right, I think that Jace Reawakened, Jayshiok is my nickname for him, is absolutely my favorite mono walker in the game, and so much so I like him a lot more than even a lot of dual color walkers. I play him all the time.
Yeah.
So there you go.
No, you're starting to see him a lot more. I think people are getting hip to it.
Yeah. Him, I think is pretty easy to convince. Kilroy's a big fan of him. He's like, oh, Ajani. Like he's my my mouthpiece out there. I don't have to say it; he'll say it for me because he's like, oh, just go ask Kilroy.
Well, I don't know one person who's got him and is just like, meh. Everyone's just like, what the
Does
hell?
anybody have him and not impressed with him here?
Yeah.
I keep clicking up there because
I would be
wrong.
very surprised. That's the person you need to talk to.
yeah, that's the person we need to go through. Anything else you want to say about this? And then Ajani Invigorate leadership. You guys can say what you want to say. This guy is the most powerful new player Planeswalker. If you haven't played with him in forever, and you're a veteran and you have all the cards, just go build a white deck for him and just see what you can do with him now. Because he doesn't need nobody. He can play and win all on his own. You just need some removal, and then he's fine. But other than that, if you go look at that mana spread, 7-3, -2, -2, -3, just S tier. That's it. That's my caliber right there. That's what I put at the peak.
Yeah, his the mana gains is really what keeps him viable. He'll always be viable forever because not only does he have +7 to white, which is already disgusting, and he's got +3 on blue and green, and he creates enlist gems easily, so he's making his own white matches too.
His top ability costs 10.
Yeah. And then his first ability is probably going to create you white matches as well, so
yeah,
he's just always gaining tons of mana. Super annoying to face. I don't use them that much just because I don't know, I'm bored with them, but I still use them for mastering stuff because like you said, you can literally use the worst cards in the game and still win with them. So
yeah,
he's my go-to when I need to master stuff.
That's the measure of a base of a planeswalker. Just go take jank cards and go master.
Can you
them,
master
PvE.
with it?
Can you master? Can you master with it? And can you go face a PvE event and climb the ladder and prove out that walker's that strong? There's no doubt about it. Ajani is that strong. Removal's the only other thing, right? Like he doesn't have removal. That's where he's weak. So if you get faced against the prevent damage creature on the other side, you're not overcoming that. You're just facing a wall that's not doing anything because he doesn't have trample, right? But okay, add some removal and you're good to go for the rest of it.
Yeah, and there's so much good removal in white right now. Not even just requisition rate, but in the pauper things, you got like what's it called? Was it Make Your Move? I think that's the one
great card.
What's the one that makes like a human token on their side? It's only like 6 mana to cost. It's an uncommon.
Yeah, let me go grab it real quick. Hold on.
But yeah, there's a bunch of other stuff. Those white's not lacking for removal right now. So he's
a ton of great stuff.
He's pretty much just got everything going for him in your favor. That's why we always recommend him to new players. Mm-hmm. To my own detriment, because I just hate facing him all the time. But that's
I mean, listen, him nerfed is a lot better than was pre-nerf. Pre-nerf games would last like 45 minutes. That was the worst.
Yeah,
the worst.
Even post nerf, he's still a pain in the ass to fight.
Unwanted remake. Yeah. He's still a beast. But unwanted remake is the card that you're thinking of.
Oh no, that's the Manifest Dread one. There's one from a couple. Stroke of Midnight. That's the one I'm thinking.
Stroke of Midnight. Got it here. Stroke of Midnight.
But they're functionally almost the same. Yeah.
Stroke of Midnight, and then Make Your Move, like you said, is a great one.
Mm-hmm. There's a bunch of other ones.
Yeah.
I just like the ones. Removal. I prefer the ones that can remove different types of things.
Yeah.
That's why I like Make Your Move.
Well, I like the unwanted remake because it allows you to do creature objectives, so I can kill multiple creatures on their side.
Yeah. I use that and Stroke of Midnight for the same reason.
Those are good. All right, guys.
Parting Gust, also an awesome card.
Parting Gust is, I think, the MVP white pauper card.
Yeah.
For 14 mana and here's a simple token. I take your girl in white, and it's mine.
Here.
I keep your girl. I snatch your girl, keep your girl.
Here, have some food.
Oh, man, that is so good. It is such a good card. Like, you could throw that in just about any mono white build, and you've got whatever they're running up against you. Oh, you got Rakdos? I got Rakdos.
Yep.
What are we playing today, kids? And you just let them just show that for you as well. Yep, that's it. All right, guys. Final thoughts. Anything else here you want to share? Is there anything that I didn't put on this list that you think should have been in my top 20 or even top 10?
Gosh, I have to look at what's available here that I would even consider.
Besides Teferi Chronoclast.
Right. Yeah.
How about you guys? What did I miss? Which
did
one
we
should I
talk
have
about?
Looked at?
Prayer of Flesh. He's pretty
Vraska?
Cool. Oh no. Vraska, I guess you can make an argument for top 20.
I heard somebody say that.
It's one of those things where you have to build for her mana gains because she's so flat on everything but black that you spend more time dedicating deck slots to mana conversion than you typically want to.
Yeah.
So that's my thing. Some people really like Ashiok Wicked Manipulator. He's cool. He's not like one of my favorites.
Yeah. He was relegated. I didn't review any of the ones that I had that I hadn't owned before, and he's one of the ones I don't own. I think Teferi, somebody says Pilgrim.
Really? They didn't give you him?
I don't know. I don't think I have him. Let me double check. Which one's
really? That's weird. How did you not get Ashiok? Did they just not send him to you?
Wait, maybe I do have him. Hold on. Hold the door. I'm spelling Teferi wrong.
But yeah, other than that, no, I think we're pretty good. Teferi Temporal Pilgrim is kind of like
Pilgrim.
a poor man's Teferi Chronoclast to me.
I am trying to evaluate him real quick. Draw first ability, 8 loyalty, draw a card, it gains 5 mana. gain 2 loyalty. Okay, so it's really a 6 net. Witness of History, but you got to get an 8 barrier to get over it. 14 loyalty, create a Ghost of War path. Okay, so there's a lot of stuff here. His mana bonuses are really good. 3 to white and black, and then 6 to blue. Sever the timeline, return all opposing cards to their owner's hand, drop to 4 cards. You may lose all your loyalty. If you do, cards in your hand gain mana. That was my problem with him. His ultimate is a great reset, but no advantage. Because I deduct my 25 cost to use Sever the Timeline before I get the balance of that loyalty to my mana. And it's not, it's each, you may all loyalty cards in your hand gain mana equal to the loyalty you lost. Yeah, so it should be, give me the full 30, give me a full hand of mana. Then he's got an S tier ability and I would play him. But everything else with him wasn't over impressive for me.
Other than that, I don't know if I would put her top 20, but I do have a little bit of a soft spot for Liliana Untouched by Death.
Yeah,
that's the one that mills your library, destroy the top 8 cards of your library for 6 zombies, loyalties.
Right, and zombies.
But other than that, the rest of her abilities suck. So I don't really put her up that much.
If you got one good S ability, right? If you have really one good strong ability, especially in the first position, that can make or break a walker. Ajani, Sleeper Agent, right? That first is great. That first is so good. The rest of him is just mediocre, but that first is really, really good. And you turned me around on him to where it's like, it is so good. You don't need anything else, really. And that makes him functional. I don't like losing life to the Phyrexian tokens. I don't like some of the other synergy play. It's kind of a waste. But
once everything's set up, I just use a second ability to gain that life back. So that's how I use them. But
is that what it is?
Yeah, no, it's all about getting your pieces into play using its first ability.
I'm using Healer of the Pride, so I'm not worried about the life there. I wind up getting her out, and then
makes
do all
sense.
The token fun stuff. All right, guys, there you go. If there is something we missed, if you're watching this on the replay and we didn't get this done in time for you, or you missed it and you didn't get to argue your case for the walkers that should have been included on the mono tier list, definitely put them into the Discord.
I think we pretty much covered everything worth talking about.
Covered all the good ones, in my opinion. I think so.
Yeah.
This was a long day. This is the same video I did, but 2.0 and some counterpoints. But guys' insights. But I don't think we had any really over top breaking outside of Chronoclast. Where would you put Chronoclast in the top 20? I guess maybe that's it. Top 11? Top 10?
Yeah, top 10 for sure. I'd have to figure out where I would put him exactly within the top 10. He'd probably be like 6 or 7 for me, probably somewhere in that range.
Better than Master of Time?
Yeah, for me personally.
Okay. Better than Lolth Spider Queen for you.
Yeah, for sure.
Better than Liliana of the Dark
shouldn't
Realms.
Even be in top 10.
What? Better than Liliana of the Dark Realms? Lilax?
For me personally, yeah.
Oof. Better than Realmbreaker?
God, it's... I don't know. Probably somewhere in that range.
Okay, somewhere in there. Not better than Reawaken. Not better than Jashiok.
No, because I think you can do a lot more with Jace Reawaken. He's not so tied to one play style.
Plague to the Land asked, why is Jaya 2 so low on your list? Because of her loyalty gains. She only gets 9+ to red and then nothing else, or her mana bonus, I should say. And I think that's one of the worst things that you can do. There's enough red conversion with Koth. It forces you to play V Koth, and if you don't have Vanguard Koth, there's enough red conversion that maybe you can lean into that, but it's such a janky.
Yeah.
Your deck is basically focused on getting conversion and not on doing the things she's supposed to do, and that's why I don't like her.
Yeah, she's a victim to what's in standard right now. When meeting of the 5 and stuff like that, you could just copy that and get all your creatures out on the board in a snap. We don't have anything like that in standard right now, so it really lowers her her and utility.
Red's uber weak right now in spells, period, and she's a spell walker in my opinion. So totally. Because of that, mono red, you got 2 cards and you got 1 red card in spells, and that's Chaos Warp. And then and the beauty of that is then you have cards that are outside your color because you're taking their stuff from them and playing with their deck against them.
True.
I love that.
Yeah,
But other than
copying
that,
a bunch of chaos warps is going to help you not lose, but we're not playing mono red to not lose.
yeah,
We're trying to win
we
fast.
want to go fast, and for that, that's creature focus. That's Dragonhawk
Hmm.
and Aurelia
Yeah,
the Law Above. Are
that's
you
why I think
lower?
Chandra Hope's Beacon is far superior to her right now.
Yeah, because she can play creatures at a much faster clip and lean into that, and it's not dependent on spells. If they're there, which great, you got them, but for the most part, she can lean into the creatures and take care of everything else. What was I going to ask you? Aurelia the Law Above. Are you as high on her as I am? Because I think she's the knees.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
I'm using her like pretty much every peasant build that I make probably has her in it. Her and Jolene together is
Jolene.
actually as good as a lot of mythic creatures that like creature combos.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. They ask, hit the mother load, hell to pay, hustle and bustle. Yeah, you try
I mean,
running
those
those.
are all good cards,
Yeah,
but
you
they're
try
not
running those
like
against Phyrexian Vindicator. He laughs at those cards. What are you gonna do? You got
yeah.
nothing. You got nothing there with those. You gotta
Those are all
have
just helping you
exile.
get the other pieces into your deck, but like what's your actual like win con? If you're because creatures are like I said, creatures are the meta right now.
Yeah.
So if she's fetching you spells to fetch you creatures, I'd rather just like cut out the middleman with Chandra Hope's Beacon and use her abilities to get those creatures out fast.
Or or the other side of that is we're ignoring the big thing. Artifacts supports are higher and creatures and supports are right on par with each other in my opinion. I think
Hmm.
supports are a little bit lower, just
Yeah.
because it's funny because like Dragonhawk even. Let's stop talking about Galta. Dragonhawk is a gas card because when
Oh
it
yeah.
destroys gems on the board, especially if you combine it with the PM2 lands and those are getting
Oh.
damaged, then you're drawing Sunken Citadel or one of the other cards that puts them back on board. So I run two of the PM2
That's
lands
clever.
and Sunken Citadel. Boss gas machine. Boss. It's just as good as Galta in my opinion. It's amazing.
Wow. I
Okay,
need to try that.
bro, I'm telling you, stick around. I play the game. It's fun. Um, so that alone right there
But I
is a
thought you
better.
said you sucked at the game.
No,
compared to
that was just for them. Between you and me, don't tell anybody. I'm actually pretty good.
that.
I don't know if you know this. I'm sponsored by the company. That's how good I. That's terrible. Bad
Hashtag
goth.
corporate
That's
shift.
terrible. That's terrible. It's just because I talk on video like an idiot. That's why they say, "Hey, you talk about stuff. Put our stuff out there." Sure.
Right.
The other what I was going to say though is that the other thing is connecting the dots in red. So
Hmm.
connecting the dots gives me all free permanents. Is that spells or is that permanents? That's permanents. So other supports that do the thing, and there are enough supports that do the thing, ossification, et cetera, that do removal. So if I'm going to lean into permanents over spells, that's another big knock against Jaya Fire Negotiator. So all the other
Hmm.
red mages or red walkers that focus on permanent fetch and put, they just got automatically ranked
Oh
higher.
yeah, one thing before we go. Convince me that Jessica is a good walker.
Oh, oh, oh! Funny you
I
should
need to
ask.
know what you're seeing because I am not seeing that.
Okay, and I get it, and probably in all fairness, I may be a little higher on her after I did run her, because I went back to after you asked that question, and I said, let me go make sure I'm 100% confident on this before I go in there and start arguing my point. But I
Yeah.
am still pretty high on her, and here's the reason why I say this. Let me put it over here so I can see it. Oh, actually, I can do it in here, can't I? Can't I? I have her on my board. She's here. All right, so for Jessica, number one, she runs Dragonhawk insane. She runs it really, really well. The
Okay.
discard all the cards without mana from your hand means that that's better than Flame Shapers, right? I'm not ditching just a random spell. I'm ditching
Sure.
I'm ditching non-mana cards into the yard, so I have yard
Hmm.
fill. The challenge with this is a nice ability. We don't have anything to really take full advantage of the yard yet, unless it's within her own abilities, which she does. So I can just
Yeah.
churn that. I can just churn that and just dig for what I'm looking for, right? So I have a Rally of the Law above. I'm drawing cards like crazy. My hand's full. I pop my first. I'm dumping whatever doesn't have mana, and I'm pulling all new cards out, whatever I'm looking for. I have
Okay.
connecting the dots on board.
Hmm.
I'm throwing all my
Yeah.
permanents
It's
in
a must.
exile. I'm throwing all my permanents in exile. I'm ditching my spells. I'm drawing whatever cards I need. So if I don't need it right now, I'm just churning my deck like crazy to go find the permanents I want, and then one by one connecting the dots is putting them on there. Um,
Hmm.
I think
Okay.
Auralia. Is she mono white or is she red too? I got to look at the deck. Give me a second.
Aurelia is red and white.
But the mythic one.
Oh, wait, which one?
Let me go look real quick.
Aurelia's Vindicator.
Aurelia's Vindicator. She mono white.
That's
or she red
that's
white?
mono white. Yeah.
Okay. There's another one that takes exile stuff and puts it somewhere, brings it back to hand or brings it to the yard. I can't remember which one it is. Oh, Dragonhawk. Dragonhawk does. Dragonhawk does. Takes stuff out of yard, puts it in hand, or out of exile, puts it in a hand. So that's that nice synergy. This runs that extremely well. It's her third, though. At 15 loyalty, create a Jessica's Will token. Then that support gains the Rebirth Emblem. Destroy 9 non-red gems, and there are less than 9, do 27 Vkoth. So you run Vkoth with this. You put them up in exile. You cast them. You can cast them because you're getting enough conversion on the board. She just runs conversion for red. Insane. It's very, it's very, very focused at that build. But I also built a pauper build with her, a peasant build, I should say. And that with Aurelia works really, really well as well. And in that
you
deck
should post those in the Discord. So it
does lean on Koth, so that still shouldn't be counted as a peasant build. But it's Aurelia, Koth, Leyline, Demolish, Deadly Complication. That's another great pauper card. Sunken Citadel, the Dots, Cryptics. So even at peasant level, quote unquote, and Vkoth, she's dominant. And that's the way you got to play her, though, is I'm using my first to churn through my deck, putting all my permanents into exile, putting everything I don't need right now into the yard. And then if there's some other, I'm still working on it, but if there's some other synergy that takes spells in yard and punishes the opponent with it, that's the thing I'm going to add to that. And then she's just, she's great, man. She's really, really good. Is she?
I might need to try her with 7? Hoarding Dragon. I don't know if you've messed around with that card yet.
Have not. Okay. I just found these two synergies and I'm like, oh my God. So I have her as 11. So she's not in top 10. But I think there's something there. I think if you finagle with her, and I think if you mess with her a bit, and you have her, and you guys
might be
she might be worth playing testing.
My little hobby this tonight to mess around with her.
Yeah, and someone's even saying here, I will post a blah blah card in the Discord. Yeah, please do. But yeah, I wanted to ask about Jessica as well. Why do you have her so high? And again, this is the reason why I look at your tendencies, and I say it's important you're looking at those because you'll miss play styles and synergies and fun things you may discover if you just aren't looking for, I like to play this way. There's so many different ways to play this game. Snag and sack, control, just aggro. What else is there? Pick it up and put it away kind of stuff, just bounce stuff. There's a ton of different ways that you can play this game. And if you really, I think we get so myopic in the way we look at stuff. So it's just golf, it's just Dragonhawk, it's just these things.
Right.
That we don't see the bigger picture. And there are so many different play styles here. The Overlords, you and Nalthazar are playing with those quite a bit. I started messing with them. They're very powerful. They're build around worthy. They're good enough to build around them. They're great. There's one broken.
Even the ones I thought would not be good are good in the right situation.
They're really good. There's those. There's the Dread. Manifest Dread is actually good. Nobody's playing it because it's not as powerful as some of the others, but there are ways you can get them to scale really quickly, right?
Yeah, I just haven't even tried to do that.
Yeah, Satoru Judith, I don't see enough people playing it. That bothers me. I'm the biggest champion of that playstyle, and it's the easiest peasant loop you guys could go be doing, and nobody's playing.
Oh God,
it's so good. It's so good.
Yeah, Kilroy actually put me on to his build of Satoru Judith. You could loop with Lord Windgrace of all people.
Yeah. I mean, there's just so many different. I use Rawl because Rawl still #1 is the best in my opinion. I love it. But I don't know if he's gonna make my #1 on my dual color list. He's got real competition this time around. People would easily say Grist is more powerful. Yeah, I can hear that. I don't know if I agree with it yet, but I can hear it because I play with Grist a lot. But your PVE test, my PVE test, go do that and see if you think that same case with her. But man, there's a couple other walkers right now that I'm just like, dude, those guys are S tier walkers, and I think they might actually be better than Rawl. In certain situations, I think they're better than Rawl for sure. But are they overall better? I don't know.
I'm probably in agreement with that. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff. Anyways, Jessica's the dog, man. I dig her. She's great. Go play with her. She's a lot of fun. Straight aggro.
Give it a shot.
All right, cool. Anything else before we close out, buddy?
No, that was it. That was the one last little thing on my mind there.
This was a lot of fun, man. I appreciate you being here. I know
Likewise,
you
yeah.
can be anywhere in the world, and this was a ridiculously long. I think these are more like podcasts for like long form
Yeah.
content, and I hope you guys enjoy these. Hey, if you're watching this as a replay, one of the things I suggest to folks for consuming content like this is just listen to it. You don't need to see it. Just put it on your phone, pop it
It's
into
in the
your earbuds,
background,
do
yeah.
mindless work, listen to it, listen for things that push your buttons or things you agree with and chime in. And if you
Exactly,
would,
yeah.
if you're listening to this on a replay, comments really help feed these along. So the chat, I appreciate you guys being here live. It always makes a big difference. We'll try to give you guys better notifications on these to jump in live with us because it's much appreciated. But if you're watching this in replay, comment, do like, subscribe, get in all the things. It really helps the channel out, number one. And number two, it lets me know if you like this longer form type of content. Because if not, then we can make them 30 minutes or whatever you like, because we want to make sure you guys are watching and consuming the content in a way that works. I think this stuff's interesting. I just love hanging out and talking with my dude Maine. So even if you guys aren't paying attention, I just like hanging out with him and discussing stuff.
Yeah, for sure. We probably do this even if we weren't recording.
Yeah, and we probably will after we're done recording.
Yeah.
But that said, guys, I appreciate you. I know you can be anywhere in the world, and it's truly appreciated. Maynard, as always, dude, you're such a bro. I appreciate you. From me to all of you guys real ones that stuck around this entire time, happy holidays to you, to your family. I wish nothing but the best tidings to you in life. This is a stupid game we all just gather around and have fun with. I really, really enjoy hanging out with you guys. It really is one of the bright spots. I have a great life. I love my life, and still one of the best things about that life is hanging out with you guys. So thank you from the bottom of my heart for being nerds, letting me hang out and do stupid stuff with you guys. It's a lot of fun. And Maynard, specifically you, dude, I love hanging out with you. Thank you so much for being such an ace. I appreciate everything you do, dude. Thank you, man. Happy holidays.
Yeah, no problem, man. Yeah, couldn't have said it better myself. Everything you said, totally agree with.
He's the guy next to the door with the dittos and lights saying ditto.
Yeah, exactly.
On that note, guys, as always, till our next quest, swords up, man. Keep going. I'll see you guys in the Discord.